Chapter 101 The Sex Arrangements. Bao Yu was also regretfully awakened by Wang Yong's happy voice, but she had also benefited. Just the events of this pill tribulation had allowed her to become more knowledgeable, thanks to being able to directly observe the three calamities. This had given her many benefits regarding her tribulations in the future. Currently Wang Yong did not know how to describe this grand disciple of his. As soon as they met with him, he had given such a pleasant surprise to the palace master and the elders. Penglai Divine Wood, a third-grade Divine Wood Foundation Stage pill, being a third-grade pill concocting master, and now also the heaven-seizing pill in these pill tribulations. He must have surely gotten the Penglai Divine Wood from Elder Wu, after all Yang Chen was just a Foundation Stage disciple, how else would he be able to obtain it? Elder Wu had been so generous to give him the heaven-seizing pill, so obviously he would not think much about giving him a small piece of Penglai Divine Wood, but that little branch of Penglai Divine Wood was very important for the Puryang Palace. If they were able to breed it, after several hundred or thousand years, the Puryang Palace would be able to produce many treasures. Yang Chen, how do you plan to handle this heaven-seizing pill? After settling his heart and mind, Wang Yong realized that Yang Chen surely had some kind of intention when he took out this heaven-seizing pill, otherwise he definitely would not have informed him so easily, so he directly asked, without waiting for Yang Chen to start talking. This made him appear very impatient. The heaven-seizing pill had already created a huge upheaval in his heart, which he was not able to cope up with. Great Master, although this heaven-seizing pill is not perfect, it can still increase the chances of ascending by 70%. Yang Chen softly muttered to himself, and after organizing his excuses, he opened his mouth again. This heaven-seizing pill is of no use to both me and Master for some time, so disciple wants to give it as a present to Great Master. Give it as a present to me. Although Wang Yong had somewhat guessed that this would happen, but when Yang Chen really spoke out these words, Wang Yong was still greatly excited. This was the heaven-seizing pill, a powerful pill which even had to face tribulation after it had been refined, giving it as a present to him. This was not a dream, right? Great Master has already been at the Yuanying stage for a long time, as long as you go steady and strike hard, with the impression of the pill tribulation, you can surely enter the Dacheng stage within the next 100 years. Then at the time of ascension, it will increase your chances to 70%. As if it had accidentally slipped off Yang Chen's mouth, he immediately retracted it. Disciple is showing his filial respect, Great Master should not care about it too much. Although it seemed as if Yang Chen had said these words unintentionally, for the listener it was as if he had realized something. Yang Chen's words had struck hard, which immediately made Wang Yong realize his mentality was somewhat fickle and impatient. Regardless of the reason, Wang Yong had wanted to rush towards the Dacheng stage, but this kind of impatient attitude was the biggest reason for his heart's devil. After realizing the problem with his mental state, it was seemingly not difficult for a Yuanying stage master such as Wang Yong to combat it. Simply speaking, it all looked quite trivial. He just had to adjust his mental condition, that's all, but this was not so easy to accomplish. The stronger an expert was, the harder it was to free himself after this kind of thing had been drilled into him. But Yang Chen had given him the heaven-seizing pill, that meant that, as long as Wang Yong was able to reach the Dacheng stage, he would have a chance of at least 70% to ascend. Hearing Yang Chen's words, together with the experience of the pill tribulation, this opportunity allowed him to attain a confidence of at least 90%. Even for the Yin Fire tribulation, when he reached the Dacheng stage from the Yuanying stage, he was at least 80% sure that he would be successful. Since he already had this kind of confidence, there was no need for Wang Yong to impatiently adopt some risky method. He could loosen the restrictions on his mind and cultivate step by step, that meant to move steadily, in accordance with Yang Chen's words, then not only would the Dacheng stage be achievable, even ascending was just around the corner. Good child. Wang Yong suddenly sighed, after praising Yang Chen once, he started to laugh heartily. I used to think that I will always be stranded at the upper Yuanying stage, but your words have given me the hope to ascend, good. This allowed him to let go of his heart's devil and have a sudden feeling of refreshment. Wang Yong exposed a rare careless smile. Naturally Yang Chen had realized a problem that Wang Yong had in his previous life, but the future tragedy of Wang Yong could have only been averted with the help of the heaven-seizing pill. Using a pill in exchange for getting an expert on his side in the future, that was a matter of great value for Yang Chen. Even better was that this expert was also Yang Chen's great master. Naturally, Yang Chen also had selfish motives in this, as the cultivation of Wang Yong increased, it would also mean that his status within the sect would also increase. And as the status of Wang Yong increased, other people would not dare to criticize Yang Chen and Gao Yu, so Yang Chen would build a protective net around Gao Yu, across the entire Puryang Palace from top to bottom, so that in this life, she would not have to worry about anything. This heaven-seizing pill, you can also use it in the future, then why do you want to give it to this old man? After laughing, Wang Yang suddenly asked with a probing tone. He very much wanted to know what Yang Chen was thinking at this moment. Great Master, you must excuse me for being disrespectful. Yang Chen was also laughing gently towards Wang Yang. Just as he had finished speaking, he was immediately berated by Gao Yu. Yang Chen, you should not be rude towards your great master. Speak, just talking is no harm. Wang Yang gestured with his hand, dismissing Gao Yu's beration. He was very cheerful right now and basically did not mind these words of Yang Chen in the least. Yang Chen had told him so much, he instead wanted to know even more, so what did he mean by speaking rudely? This heaven-seizing pill is not a perfect heaven-seizing pill, at best it has a 70% efficacy. Yang Chen said fearlessly and immediately started laughing. Great Master's cultivation is very profound, naturally you will not care about a heaven-seizing pill with a 70% efficacy. When Master reaches the Dacheng stage, I will refine a perfect heaven-seizing pill for Master. If that time Great Master has not yet ascended, then you will certainly go green with envy. When Wang Yang and Gao Yu heard what he said, they became speechless and glanced at each other. Only these two people seemed to realize that Yang Chen really knew how to refine the heaven-seizing pill, and as soon as his cultivation increased enough, maybe he could refine a perfect heaven-seizing pill. But these people did not know that if Yang Chen really wanted to, then he would set his mind on even higher grade pills compared to the heaven-seizing pill. Good. Wang Yang praised him again, but immediately afterwards he sighed. Originally I had planned to give some pointers to you, but I had never expected that I would actually be guided by you. Fine, this old man will become thick-skinned and accept your heaven-seizing pill. While speaking, he received that jade box into his Qianqin pouch, but he wasn't very formal. Master. Gao Yu found this somewhat inappropriate, so she raised a small accusation against Wang Yang. So you have accepted the respect shown by my disciple, but did not say anything which would benefit your grand disciple. Then she had also begun to ask for benefits for Yang Chen. Ah ha ha ha. Wang Yang rejoiced endlessly. You really are very protective of your newly received disciple. Fine, this great master will also not be stingy. This Qianqin pouch contains things which might be to your fancy, choose what you want. Wang Yang directly placed his Qianqin pouch in front of Yang Chen and Gao Yu, allowing them to choose. In Wang Yang's eyes, although the things in the Qianqin pouch were precious, they were not more precious than him ascending to the spiritual world. In any case they weren't outsiders, they were his disciple and grand disciple, so it would be best if he allowed them to choose. Gao Yu shouted in joy and directly grabbed Wang Yang's Qianqin pouch and began to flip it upside down to look at the objects inside. With her face full of smiles and still laughing she said. I have wanted some things from Master long ago, but Master was always very stingy, finally I have the opportunity. In front of Wang Yang, Gao Yu was acting as if she was still that charming little disciple which Wang Yang was fond of. Yang Chen, who was standing not too far, had a smile on his face, foolishly looking at Gao Yu's smile. That kind of happy laugh which came from the inside, after finding something which she had searched for a long time, made Yang Chen think that all that he had done was really worth it. As long as he could keep the smile on his master's face, he was willing to pay any price. After Gao Yu had picked up several mouth-watering items, she threw the Qianqin pouch towards Yang Chen. Yang Chen, quickly pick, your great master is not very generous. Wang Yang was laughing heartily on one side, without feeling the slightest amount of anger at these words of Gao Yu. When Yang Chen took the Qianqin pouch, Wang Yuan's gaze also shifted towards him, apparently he wanted to see whether or not Yang Chen had enough knowledge and what kind of item he would choose. Only, the things which Gao Yu had picked had made Yang Chen dumbfounded. All of them were related to the fire attribute, making Yang Chen suddenly want to remind Gao Yu. Master, you have an acquired full water spirit root, what do you want to do by picking up these fire attributed objects? Despite cursing her silently, Yang Chen did not show any courtesy towards the Qianqin pouch given to him. Releasing his spiritual awareness to search it, he immediately found a Qianqin pouch inside, which had moreover been refined by some expert. The mark of pure Yang Palace was still on top of it and it was multiple times better than the one Wang Yuan had given him. Although he did not know for whom it had been prepared, since Yang Chen had looked at it, then it was out of Wang Yang's control. Taking out that one Qianqin pouch, Yang Chen said, full of smiles. This Qianqin pouch is many times better than the one I am carrying, Great Master, I will be troubling you. Seeing that Yang Chen had picked up that Qianqin pouch, Wang Yang was also hesitant, but he immediately remembered that Yang Chen's Qianqin pouch was being treated as evidence and that he was still using the Qianqin pouch of someone he had killed, which was of very poor quality. Finally, with good intentions, Wang Yang stretched out his hand. Bring me those Qianqin pouches you have obtained from the people you have killed, I will properly refine them for you, so that nobody can steal my sex real pure Yang fire from the Qianqin pouch. Hearing Wang Yang's words, Yang Chen was happy beyond measure. A Qianqin pouch was something which everyone had, but everyone's Qianqin pouches were distinct. After being refined by a master, it would just not be the same thing as being given by their respective sect. Leaving aside the amount of the space where objects were held, even the degree of robustness would increase. If, during the refining, some powerful materials were also added, the grade of the Qianqin pouch would increase even more. Naturally, if it was refined with a heavenly grade magic tool, then maybe it could be made into a high-grade object, comparable to the Yang Mountain Medicine Garden, and if it was fused with immortal grade items, then maybe it would be even more extraordinary. When two Qianqin pouches were fused, the result would have at least the space of the two earlier Qianqin pouches added together. That's why Wang Yang had asked him to bring the Qianqin pouches of all the people he had killed. But when Yang Chen took out more than 20 Qianqin pouches in succession, even Wang Yang was dumbfounded. Especially because there still were imprints of Greatest Heaven Sect and Tianquan Sect on top of the Qianqin pouches, which astonished him even more. Are you cultivating or are you actually a killer? Bao Yu could not help but wrinkle her brows. Although she knew that Yang Chen had previously killed many people, she hadn't anticipated that it would be this many. Killing too many people can be harmful to your Dao heart, do you know this? When you killed this many people, did any other people know about it? Actually Wang Yang was quite open-minded, he knew that cultivation and killing people had nothing directly conflicting with each other. Wang Yang had only picked some Qianqin pouches with a mark while asking, but he feared that Yang Chen would bring some trouble. At the time when I killed these people, nobody knew, but these people have come to find me, so whether or not anyone else knew is difficult to say. Frankly speaking, Yang Chen did not have any hatred with these people, they were incited by others to come and look for Yang Chen, so at least those who had incited them knew, but they didn't have any definite proof. That's good, kill when you need to kill, but when someone asks, pretend that you do not know. Wang Yuan reached out his hand to receive all of those Qianqin pouches, and afterwards he placed all of them in one place. I will return in a few days to help you refine it, so I will give it to you in a few days' time. I understand, great master, I completely understand everything. Yang Chen smiled happily and continued to probe the things within Wang Yang's Qianqin pouch without even lifting his head. There were a few types of high-grade material, a few other materials which could strengthen the fire-attributed flying swords, and there was also a jade slip, on which everything Wang Yuan had learned about tool refining had been recorded, but it was also flipped over by Yang Chen. There are still some good things left. Bao Yu saw this and directly extended her hand. Yang Chen, after paying respects to your master, you still haven't given any gifts to your master, this is precisely when you show your respects to your master. After saying this, she seemingly thought of something, which reddened her face, then she again added a line. This second fierce Yang courtyard does not count, it is not for me alone. Yang Chen looked at Wang Yuan and then again at Gao Yu, he had no other choice but to carefully read the contents of the jade slip once and then he had no option than to give it to Gao Yu, while mumbling to himself. And they say disciples fight over things. It is counted as you giving respects to your master, and won't your master pass it on to you again, in the future? Bao Yu directly snatched the jade slip and with a face full of smiles she examined it while lecturing Yang Chen so that he would not feel dissatisfied. Wang Yang sitting at the side looked at Gao Yu bullying Yang Chen happily, but he only smiled and did not say anything. His own disciple and grand disciple had already allowed him to have no worries, so in the future, he had to speak for them to ensure that they would not get pushed around. Now there was nothing which they feared people would find out, so Wang Yuan began to remove the layers of his restrictions one by one. Yang Chen, what have you planned after reaching the foundation stage? After Yang Chen had finished choosing what he needed, Gao Yu asked with concern. Have you planned to cultivate within the sect or go out to train? This disciple plans to go out. Yang Chen quickly replied. I have heard that the sect betraying disciple, Chu Heng, had already gone missing in the desolate valley and the people of the law enforcement hall could not find him, so this disciple wants to personally go to settle his grudges. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 102 If I don't kill you, I am not a man. Yang Chen and Chu Heng's grudge had existed for a long time, it was already a well-known matter in the Puryang Palace. Only currently, everyone was in support of Yang Chen, and there was almost nobody in support of Chu Heng. After all, colluding with outsiders to attack a fellow disciple was a crime which no sect, even the Devil sect, would permit. Therefore, Yang Chen going to look for Chu Heng to settle his grudges was nothing strange. The palace master had already said that, after the sect executed its punishment, the grudge between Yang Chen and Chu Heng was their personal matter. Currently, as the law enforcement hall could not find Chu Heng's whereabouts, nobody could say anything about Yang Chen going to look for him by himself. Bao Yu had wanted to say something, but after looking at Wang Yang's expression, she didn't open her mouth and only kept looking at Yang Chen with a complicated expression. Her gaze contained traces of worry for Yang Chen. After the private discussion with Wang Yong and Gao Yu was over, Yang Chen had managed to gain a big supporter for Gao Yu and himself. If Wang Yong was able to break through to the Dacheng stage, not only would the overall strength of the Puryang Palace increase, but so would his and Gao Yu's status. Wang Yong and Gao Yu both knew the importance of this matter, therefore, regarding the matter of the heaven-seizing pill, both had agreed to keep their mouths shut, not to reveal even a single word of it to other people. Even the other disciples of Wang Yong would not be told about this matter. The one who closely hides his wealth will always be king. If other people knew, then it was very possible that the Puryang Palace would divide into factions. Whatever the case, Chu Heng was a middle foundation stage expert and he had been at the foundation stage for many years. After going to the Desolate Valley, who could know how much had he developed in these years? Even the foundation stage disciples with that Jedan stage disciple hadn't been able to capture him, so it was obvious how difficult to deal with he had become. Chu Heng's disappearance was not at all because he was killed by demonic beasts, though saying that would lose them face. Actually he had escaped without any trace, even under the combined assault of 4 experts of the law enforcement hall. Although he hadn't injured anyone, it could still be considered as a tight slap in the face of the law enforcement hall, or even the entire Puryang Palace. The 4 experts of the law enforcement hall had surprisingly not been able to catch a person who had betrayed the sect. This really was a fact which lost them face. Therefore, regardless of whether it was the palace master or the law enforcement hall's master, Meng Xian, both did not say much about this matter. Only Du Qian secretly gave some information to Yang Chen, but also without giving him a lot of details. He did not tell him about the situation at that time, and neither did he tell him about the identity of the 4 disciples of the law enforcement hall, just the conclusion that Chu Heng had escaped, which had been asserted as having gone missing to the public. Naturally Yang Chen would not let Chu Heng, a mortal enemy, slip off that easily. Although Chu Heng was not at the Puryang Palace and was also not likely to attack Yang Chen knew that some people, including Chu Heng's master, were dissatisfied about the punishment of the sect. If these people colluded with Chu Heng, then maybe it would cause trouble for Yang Chen. Even if there were no troubles in the future, just the past actions of Chu Heng were enough for Yang Chen to hunt and kill him. In this life, Yang Chen would not be as good-natured as his previous life. Anyone who gave him respect, he would respect them back, but if they wanted to kill him, then he had to kill them in return. Wang Yong and Gao Yu were both not against his decisions, so naturally other people would also not be against it. If anyone went against him at this time, he was simply embarrassing himself in front of the entire Puryang Palace. Besides, other than Wang Yong and Gao Yu, Yang Chen basically hadn't informed anyone else about this matter. This matter had already caused a great humiliation for the Puryang Palace. The foundation stage disciples of the law enforcement hall had all been recalled from their training, and even the Jedan stage elders had set out, trying to find Chu Heng's whereabouts in all directions. Yang Chen would also go out to kill Chu Heng, under the pretense of erasing the sect's humiliation. Since Chu Heng had gone missing from the Desolate Valley, Yang Chen's first stop would naturally be the Desolate Valley. Nobody knew that, apart from killing Chu Heng, Yang Chen also had another motive in going to the Desolate Valley. The Desolate Valley was a famous place for training through fights. Other than having several fierce demonic beasts, it also had another feature. The earth-attributed spirit power was very thick within the Desolate Valley. So only earth-attributed cultivators and wood-attributed cultivators would go there, as, among the 5 phases, only wood could subdue earth. Chu Heng was water-attributed, so he was firmly subdued by the earth-attributed spirit power. When he was sent here, this was precisely to serve as the penal sentence. But Yang Chen knew the reason why the Desolate Valley was like this. There was a vein of 5th Earth True Kai. If this 5th Earth True Kai could be refined using 5th Earth True Kai secrets, then that would be the best 5th Earth cultivation method and also the ideal for the 5th Earth attributed cultivation method of the great 5 phases of Yin and Yang secrets. By some lucky coincidence, Yang Chen had obtained a copy of 5th Earth True Kai secrets from the Immortals in the Heavenly Court. For cultivating the 5th Earth True Kai secrets, one had to have a cultivation of at least the foundation stage and also had to have a suitable 5th Earth True Kai. Currently Yang Chen had reached the foundation stage in all attributes and also had the proper cultivating circumstances. Among the great 5 phases of Yin and Yang secrets, Yang Chen already had a copy of the 1st Wood True Kai secrets, 2nd Wood True Kai secrets, 3rd Fire True Kai secrets, 5th Earth True Kai secrets, 7th Metal True Kai secrets, and 10th Water True Kai secrets. He still hadn't obtained 4th Fire, 6th Earth, 8th Metal and 9th Water. Collecting all 10 scriptures of the great 5 phases of Yin and Yang secrets was a goal in Yang Chen's new life in the mortal world. Although he did not know where the last 4 pieces were, he knew of some sect who had these types of cultivation methods. What Yang Chen wanted to do was precisely to get his hands on these, one by one, according to the difficulty. With regards to this, the fifth earth true Kai at the Desolate Valley was the type most easily obtainable for Yang Chen, so it was naturally the first priority for him at the moment. Other people only thought he had gone to hunt Chu Heng, so nobody doubted him. Naturally, even though he had to go, he would not leave immediately. He had only recently reached the foundation stage, so Yang Chen had to consolidate it. In addition to that, the last few layers refining of the Heavenly Star's treasure refining secrets and the Earth Fiend sacrificial formation secrets had only been refined using the fire attribute. This time he had to refine his magic weapons all the way through once again. Currently Yang Chen had reached the foundation stage in all of the 5 phases in yin and yang, so he began cultivating in those high-level cultivation methods which he had found in the hidden pavilion. By the time Yang Chen had replaced the remaining 6 low-level cultivation methods with the higher-grade cultivation method, 1 month had already passed. Only after completing all of this did Yang Chen begin the refining of the profound spirit furnace and the sword box in the form of the Zhanxian stage's immortal blade. After reaching the foundation stage, everything had been different from the Kai layer, even the quality of the spirit power in his body had changed. After he had refined the Heavenly Star's treasure refining secrets to 4 layers and 6 layers of the Earth Fiend sacrificial formation secrets, the 5 phases spirit power finally attained equilibrium again. This time, after he came out of the room where he was engaged in closed-door training, he directly ran into his master, Gao Yu. Gao Yu was in high spirit this time, there was an unprecedented type of confidence on her face, perhaps this was the result of Yang Chen's previous arrangements. "This is the Qianqin pouch your great master has refined for you, check it once." Gao Yu sensed that Yang Chen was going to come out of the seclusion, so she had intentionally come over to wait for him. Seeing him, she threw a belt-shaped object towards him while smiling. Wang Yong had spent much thought on the Qianqin pouch he refined for Yang Chen. Because of his last Qianqin pouch, Yang Chen had even been hunted by a group of people, and Wang Yong didn't want this kind of thing to happen to his grand disciple again. Along with the Qianqin pouch which Wang Yong had made for someone, Wang Yong also used the more than 20 Qianqin pouches Yang Chen had given him and spared no efforts or materials, altering their bag-shaped style and refining them to a belt. Apart from serving as a Qianqin pouch, the bag was also a good defensive magic tool. On the belt, Wang Yong had engraved 3 types of spell formations. One was a defensive spell formation, another one was an illusionary spell formation, and one was a concealing spell formation, which could be used to cover up tracks. After buckling up the belt, there was a place to put in spirit stones. As long as a piece of spirit stone was placed there, it would be used to provide the spirit power for these 3 types of spell formations, and, apart from the defensive spell formation, the other 2 spell formations would activate according to Yang Chen's will. The opening of the Qianqin pouch was also at a place where Yang Chen could access it conveniently. As long as he wanted to, he could put in and take out things without much trouble. As for the space, compared to the Qianqin pouch Yang Chen had at the start, it had at least 10 times more space, even compared to Wang Yong's Qianqin pouch, it was not inferior in any aspect. The thing that gave Yang Chen a nice surprise was that this Qianqin pouch could be used as a defensive magic tool, so only after it had been refined by Yang Chen himself, it could be fully used. In addition to that, it had to refine by using a special technique so that, even if someone took this Qianqin pouch away, he would not be able to seize anything within the Qianqin pouch. Only if the cultivation of the enemy was higher than Wang Yong's current cultivation by a whole realm, in other words he had to be at least at the Dacheng stage, would he be able to cut open this prohibiting formation. But Yang Chen had the achievement ring, and all of his important things could be placed within it, so he did not need to get anxious about the things inside of his Qianqin pouch, but this Qianqin pouch was the best excuse for him, so that from now on he did not need to explain to anyone how his things could be concealed so well. This Qianqin pouch could also be used as a magic tool, so it could still be upgraded after Yang Chen refined it. Currently Yang Chen had the profound spirit furnace for concocting pills, and for attacking he had the Zhantai stage's immortal blade-shaped sword box, he only lacked a good magic tool for self-protection, and this belt had appeared just in time, like getting charcoal in snowy weather. It could also be seen that Wang Yong had spent much thought about Yang Chen, and only then decided on this, so Yang Chen was very grateful towards his great master's kind intentions. "You were going to hunt the traitor, so I should have also gone with you, to look after you and assist you." Bao Yu had still adopted the face of a master and said this to Yang Chen with a serious face. "But your great master has said that your path is different from ours, maybe excessive consideration can restrict you from many things. The most suitable thing this time is that you go alone. Master will not go with you, so do your best." Bao Yu had warned Yang Chen repeatedly, which made Yang Chen sense that he had already gotten very close to his master at the moment, perhaps it was because they shared a huge secret. Only, when Gao Yu was speaking, she was acting a little dodgy, as if trying to hide something. Yang Chen, who knew everything about Gao Yu, immediately sensed this abnormality. "Master, what is the problem with me going?" Yang Chen asked while creasing his brows, his eyes fixated on Gao Yu's eyes, waiting for her reply. Gao Yu grew restless under Yang Chen's fixed gaze and became uncomfortable, and clenching her teeth she said. This time, the 4 disciples of the law enforcement hall who were chasing Chu Heng were seriously injured by him in the desolate valley. The palace master has strictly commanded that this news cannot be leaked, but Chu Heng had already spread it. Glancing again at Yang Chen, she once again dodged his gaze. "He also said some offensive words about you." This disciple is all ears. After hearing Gao Yu's words, Yang Chen was not that restless anymore. Originally he had been getting anxious, but this kind of thing was not much of an issue. As for Chu Heng, injuring the disciples of the law enforcement hall was already a capital offense. Yang Chen would not bother much about a person who was doomed to die. Chu Heng has claimed that the Pure Yang Palace had not evicted him from the sect, but rather that he had been the one to rebel from the sect. Since Gao Yu had already begun to speak, she did not hide anything anymore. In any case, what she knew, Yang Chen also had to know, as hearing it from her mouth is far better than hearing it from the mouths of others. Saying that we had taken an executioner as a disciple and have already entered the devil path, he is ashamed to associate with us, therefore he has rebelled from the sect. What about this is so offensive? Yang Chen smiled. If that was the extent of claims he had made, then not just Yang Chen, he would even be a joke to the entire Pure Yang Palace. He has also said that the 4 disciples who were trying to subdue him had been injured by just one person, himself, saying that malpractices have become far too frequent in the whole Pure Yang Palace and it was nowhere as good as it's made out to be. Gao Yu shook her head and continued. And he also said that you have done some odd jobs for pill concocting masters, but surprisingly dare to claim the credits for other people's achievements, falsely claiming that the heaven-seizing pill had been refined by you, while really you are just a crafty flatterer who showed his colors given the opportunity. The whole Pure Yang Palace has supposedly been deceived by you, and he kept on cursing you as a nasty character. Chu Heng is a disciple who betrayed the sect, what kind of pleasant words could he possibly say? This is not bad enough to worry, master, is it? Yang Chen once again smiled hearing this. Not to mention Chu Heng, even young children could curse like this. Rather than bothering with this, it would be better to think about where to find him so that he could chop off his head. He also boasted that as long as the disciples chasing him did not die, they should behead us, 2 despicable and shameless master and disciple, colluding to commit such fraud in front of everyone under the heavens. Seeing Yang Chen's calmness, Gao Yu's intonation also became gentle, even using the words as shameless and despicable to describe herself, she still had a joking tone. Even I taking you as a disciple was also my ploy to gain a false reputation of being your master. Chu Heng dared to say that master is despicable and shameless. Against the expectations of Gao Yu, Yang Chen, who had been tranquil, making her think why she had been worried about Chu Heng's words again, became furious at this moment. His eyes had stretched to the size of a copper bell, and gnashing his teeth, he spat out these words. He had the impertinence to insult master. Bang. Yang Chen mad fury had exploded out this moment. His master was the cause of his fury, regardless of how offensive the words Chu Heng said about him were, Yang Chen wouldn't have given it a second thought. But Chu Heng had gone too far, daring to insult Yang Chen's master, intolerable. The 5 phases of yin and yang secrets began to move crazily, following Yang Chen's anger. The 10 types of spirit power which had been calm originally had turned into 10 big dragons all of a sudden, circulating within his meridians. His eyes turned blood red, and with that, a frightening killing intent which could devour people suddenly also appeared and passed away in a flash, being suppressed by Yang Chen. Chu Heng. Yang Chen's loud voice filled with anger could be heard in almost the entire second Fierce Yang courtyard. If I don't kill you, then I vow that I am not a man. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 103 Surely there is a secret. Originally Yang Chen wanted to use the excuse of hunting Chu Heng as a pretext of going to the desolate valley, but at the moment Yang Chen was hell-bent on killing him. Never before had Yang Chen felt such an intense desire to get rid of this person. Chu Heng had gone too far by daring to insult his master, even 100 deaths could not pardon his crime. Gao Yu had never seen Yang Chen angry before, so she did not know that Yang Chen would be this frightening when he was angry. It seemed to her that since Yang Chen was calm towards Chu Heng words insulting him, he would not be angry like this. But she hadn't thought that just a single line which had been directed at her and Yang Chen would make him so angry. But Yang Chen getting angry because of Chu Heng insulting her had given her a kind of happiness which could not be explained with words. Apart from her master, Wang Yong, Gao Yu never received this kind of concern from any other person, and Yang Chen had even remained indifferent to the abuses on himself, while she herself had felt injustice at the wrongful abuse. Although the desolate valley was known as a valley, it was actually not very small. In fact, the desolate valley was a region with huge hills, which also had abundant sand dunes. In this region, within a radius of 1,000 miles, the earth attributed spirit power was outstanding, while the spirit power of other attributes was repelled. Although it didn't mean they were not there at all, instead only in very small quantities. The landscape here was boundless and, no matter in which direction one looked, apart from sand dunes and sand hills, there was nothing visible but desert. A constantly blowing wind filled the sky with sand, it was exceptionally dry. The time it had taken Yang Chen to set foot in this region was 1 month. During this time, Yang Chen had first refined that Qianqin pouch, and then he had gone looking for those 4 fellow apprentices of the law enforcement hall, which had been injured by Chu Heng, and thoroughly investigated what had happened at that time. He realized that this matter was 10 times more serious than what he had thought when he had heard about it from Gao Yu. Apparently Chu Heng was deliberately trying to make Pure Yang Palace lose face, and using Yang Chen as pretense, trying to degrade Yang Chen into complete shambles, who had not said even one word. At that time he had the opportunity to get rid of these 4 disciples, but against all expectations he did not kill and only seriously injured them, and showing his arrogance, he used a few loose cultivators to carry them back to the Pure Yang Palace, not only making this public with great fanfare. But he even asked the Pure Yang Palace to provide remuneration to these few loose cultivators for carrying them back. This certainly was a tight slap in the face of the entire Pure Yang Palace. After this joke had gotten out to the entire cultivation realm, the disciples of the Pure Yang Palace basically hadn't even been able to raise their heads in the outside world. It is not that they hadn't sent any high-level experts to catch him, but Chu Heng was very cunning. During the 1-year time Yang Chen was in seclusion, several Zhanxian stage experts of the law enforcement hall had turned the entire desolate valley upside down, but they weren't able to find the whereabouts of Chu Heng. Chu Heng's traces couldn't be found, even in other regions, as if his person had disappeared from the world. If someone said that he didn't have any help of other people, nobody would believe him. This matter happened just after the Pure Yang Palace had demanded that the Greatest Heaven sect and some other sects provide an explanation for their wrongs at the time when Yang Chen had climbed the peak of the heavenly stairs. At that time, several big sects had provided compensation and admitted their mistake, but this kind of thing was just too big of a coincidence to believe. Regardless of what was said, they hadn't been able to find Chu Heng to deliver the sect's punishment for all this time and couldn't do anything to remove the shame Chu Heng had brought on the Pure Yang Palace. Not only the Pure Yang Palace, but even Yang Chen and Gao Yu were also looked down upon as a joke among Taoists everywhere. Daring to insult his master and even insulting his sect regarding the slanderous words against Yang Chen, Chu Heng had already forced Yang Chen into a corner. If Yang Chen did not set out alone as a formal representative of Pure Yang Palace to settle this matter after even these events, then the Pure Yang Palace's reputation would fall by 1,000 times at once. That was the reason why Wang Yong had not allowed Gao Yu to follow after him, but Yang Chen was also the most suitable person to resolve this affair. During the 1 year when Yang Chen was in seclusion to concoct pills and attack the bottleneck of the foundation stage, the entire Pure Yang Palace had concealed this news from him, which clearly conveyed their intentions of supporting and protecting Yang Chen. From the palace master to the servants, everyone knew about this, but they didn't tell him for the fear of disturbing his cultivation, so how could Yang Chen ignore the expectations the sect had for him? Yang Chen treaded towards the peak of a sand dune with heavy steps, stopping at the peak of the highest sand dune in his line of sight and began to look in all directions. Yang Chen had flown on his flying sword when he had set off from the Pure Yang Palace, but after he had reached the boundary of the desolate valley, he had renounced traveling on the flying sword and had walked on foot into the desolate valley. Yang Chen had spent 4 days walking from the edge of the desolate valley to reach the sand dune. The description by the law enforcement hall's disciples made Yang Chen remember a special spell formation. In reality, if Chu Heng, a person who was restrained by the earth-attributed spirit power of the desolate valley, wanted to defeat 4 disciples of the law enforcement hall attacking together, it was simply impossible. But this impossible event had still happened, but even the 4 law enforcement disciples were not convinced by this. Yang Chen had thoroughly investigated the circumstances at that time, the details given by the 4 law enforcement disciples had given him a general idea about the situation. He was currently walking step by step, moving forward in order to confirm his conjecture. After walking thousands of miles for several days, Yang Chen's spiritual awareness had sensed the direction of the underground spirit power, which was in accordance with his guess. An enormous spell formation had already been placed under the gigantic desolate valley at some unknown time. This spell formation was so huge that it could not be activated by using a spell formation and could only be used by cleverly exploiting the geographical position and direction of the underground vein. Arranging this kind of spell formation was basically impossible, even after spending 500 years. Moreover, the preparations for arranging this spell required someone whose spiritual awareness was at least comparable to Yang Chen, and he would also be using Yang Chen's current method, that was to personally sense the terrain and the direction in which spirit power was moving. This would require an even higher amount of hard work. Since this spell formation was already completed, then it could be activated slowly from some special location, allowing Chu Heng to severely injure 4 cultivators who were no weaker than him. Without the assistance of this spell formation, that idiot Chu Heng could never achieve this kind of accomplishment. In his previous life, Yang Chen hadn't paid much attention to the Desolate Valley, he was only concerned about it in this life because the 5th Earth True Kai secrets within the Great 5 Phases of Yin and Yang secrets required the 5th Earth True Kai for cultivation. The main function of the huge spell formation within the Desolate Valley was apparently only one, that was to gather 5th Earth True Kai from all directions within a small region and allow people to focus on refining it easily. After he clearly understood the function of this spell formation, a smile appeared on Yang Chen's face. This affair was becoming more and more amusing. This seems to have been just the tip of the iceberg. Some sect had somehow discovered this 5th Earth True Kai and wanted to exploit it for its own use, but the 5th Earth True Kai was scattered in all directions, so they could only use this method to slowly gather it. Moreover, it was the work of a big sect, an ordinary small sect simply could not arrange such a spell. Not to mention other things, just deploying the formation required 3 Wielding stage experts, not one less. How could a small sect gather such strength? Moreover, the person who had deployed this rank of spell was certainly a great expert in spell formations. Operating this rank of spell formation was not beyond the scope of those sects whose Zhanxian stage experts had tried to make things difficult for Yang Chen at the heavenly stairs. The biggest suspicion was naturally towards Yang Chen's old enemy, with whom Chu Heng had rushed to curry favor, the greatest heaven sect, which was also the biggest sect which had admitted their wrongs for the heavenly stairs and had paid compensation. On one side they had admitted their wrongs, which had decreased their reputation of being straightforward, but on the other hand, they had used Chu Heng to defame the Pure Yang Palace, so spectators would immediately judge by comparing both sides. Being open and straightforward would gain them even more acclaim and support, and by defaming a trifling disciple who had been the cause of their humiliation, his future prospects would be destroyed. The most crucial point was that, if nobody knew about the reason for arranging the spell formation, then after the vein of 5th Earth True Kai had been refined by their people, the spell formation could be destroyed, and then, even if it was a Great Principle Golden Immortal, he could also not find traces that a huge spell had existed there. This huge spell was arranged by relying on the natural terrain, so when the moment came, it would return to nature again. Who would have proof of anything happening here? The enemy had just incidentally made use of this spell formation, but the Pure Yang Palace had been drenched with sewage because of it. Even if Chu Heng was captured in the future and the sect rules were executed, they would still be unable to remove this stain. Like using grass to catch the rabbit, the enemy would not be affected in any way, only the Pure Yang Palace and Yang Chen would have to carry the burden of shame. The plan was very sound, but unfortunately for them, Yang Chen had come. Several days was already enough for him to verify the existence of this big spell. Although the enemy wanted to silently defame the Pure Yang Palace, now it would not be able to. But this huge spell was indeed too excessive, covering an area in the radius of 1,000 miles. With Yang Chen's speed, even if he used a flying sword, it would still take 2 days and 2 nights, but if he wanted to sense clearly towards where the spell formation was aligned, with just one person, Yang Chen, walking to measure it, the time it would take would be more than for those people to refine the 5th Earth True Kai. How could Yang Chen waste so much time right now? Confronting this huge spell, even though Yang Chen had the knowledge of his previous life, he couldn't help but wrinkle his brows. He only knew that the 5th Earth True Kai was here, but he did not know where it was scattered, so the biggest challenge in front of him was precisely the refining of 5th Earth True Kai. Not only that, the face of the entire Pure Yang Palace was on the line here, but if he could not sense the path along which the spell formation had been deployed, then he would also be unable to exploit it. Although he wanted to do it by himself, he knew that he was unable to, and for a moment Yang Chen began to feel embarrassed. In this kind of situation, since he could not do anything, he could inform the sect leader of the Pure Yang Palace about the existence of this huge spell. But if the palace master knew about it, then he would surely send people of the sect to investigate, which may alert the enemy and could also lead to war. But then, obtaining the 5th Earth True Kai would no longer be such an easy matter for Yang Chen. Since there was also this possibility, Yang Chen would only inform him as a last resort. But this kind of worry, Yang Chen kept on roaming the desolate valley aimlessly, trying to think of some method. Although Yang Chen had heard about this kind of huge spell, but he hadn't experienced it personally. With enough time this spell would not be a problem, but currently he did not have enough time. Sitting on the peak of a sand dune, Yang Chen was painstakingly trying to think of some method while his gaze focused at a distant place in the desert and didn't move for a long time. Several hundred threads of spiritual awareness, thin as silk, were scouting all activities in a radius of several hundred miles. But unfortunately this huge spell was concealed extremely well and was arranged according to the terrain, so even when scouting with his spiritual awareness, he was unable to investigate distant regions and could only focus on the small area around his feet. All of a sudden, something slightly bulged inside of the sand on which he was sitting. A black sand scorpion with 2 claws and a sharp tail slowly took its head out of the sand and came out entirely soon afterwards. The movement of the sand scorpion attracted Yang Chen's attention. After strutting around in Yang Chen's domain for some time, it went to another location and drilled into the sand again. Seeing this, Yang Chen's eyes began to shine brightly. Although he was not capable of knowing the way in which the spell formation and Fifth Earth Trukai were arranged in the Desolate Valley, this didn't mean that these animals of the Desolate Valley also did not know. As long as it was in their domain, they would be very clear about the distribution of spirit power, and as long as he could communicate with these animals and find some demonic beasts who had a huge domain, then maybe he would be able to find the arrangement of the spell formation. To communicate with demonic beasts, he had no option other than to use the beast-taming sect's beast-controlling secrets. The beast-controlling secrets of the beast-taming sect could allow people to establish an even more direct connection with their beasts, thus reaching the aim of controlling their own beast. Han Shan was a person from the beast-taming sect, he was even able to control beasts at the Dacheng stage. Within Yang Chen's mind the words of the cyan-colored ox of the greatest supreme elder reverberated to this day. I have a remarkable ability, the beast-controlling secrets, which is the cultivation method of my demon race, and is 100 times better than the methods of the beast-taming sect, but the requirements of learning it are harsh, see if you have the good luck or not. 100 times better than the beast-controlling secrets of the beast-taming sect, how powerful would that be? But the Cyan Ox had also said that its requirements were harsh, so Yang Chen carefully recalled this remarkable ability and began to ponder over it. It was indeed quite troublesome, this ability required to cultivate it according to the methods of the demon race, well Yang Chen was human, so this was naturally not easy for him. But after analyzing every word and every sentence with great care, he discovered something. Apparently, as long as he could settle some minor problems, he could start cultivating that remarkable ability to control beasts. The major principle of the beast-controlling secret was still that the spiritual awareness should be higher than the cultivation realm. Although it still required the support of strong spirit power, the spirit power was only required to provide the strength to subdue the beast. Nevertheless, for genuinely connecting with a demonic beasts, a powerful spiritual awareness was required. In order to establish this kind of connection, Yang Chen needed to make those demonic beasts believe that Yang Chen himself belonged to the demon race. This was the most crucial point, as long as he could solve this, the other problems could all be solved easily. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 104 Beast-Controlling Secrets of the Demon Race. Making the demonic beasts believe that he was also a demonic beast was impossible for other people, but Yang Chen was an exception, especially after he had cultivated to the 3rd layer of the 3 purity secrets. The Cyan Ox had also given Yang Chen a copy of the final stage, so Yang Chen was completely sure that this was not the method of the beast-controlling sect. Yang Chen doubted it was something the Cyan Ox had added. The most unexpected thing was that this section was a copy of its own cultivation method for cultivating its spiritual awareness. This small copy of the cultivation method, although it was a method to cultivate spiritual awareness, it would also allow him to sufficiently imitate the smell of Cyan Ox himself. The most important thing was that Yang Chen wouldn't even have been able to comprehend this method if he hadn't cultivated to the 3rd layer of 3 purity secrets, let alone cultivating the method. But fortunately Yang Chen had received the cultivation method of the 3 purity secrets from the greatest supreme elder, and he had also already cultivated it to the 3rd layer. All of this made Yang Chen feel as if it was planned beforehand, but thinking carefully this was still somewhat inconceivable. If it was the scheme of the greatest supreme elder, he would not involve himself with his mount, the Cyan Ox, to be sacrificed. Moreover, when the Cyan Ox had said these words, it could not have guaranteed that Yang Chen would obtain the 3 purity secrets from the greatest supreme elder. At that time, the greatest supreme elder had allowed Yang Chen to pick his own cultivation method. If Yang Chen had picked a pill concocting method or a tool refining method at that time, then wouldn't it all have been for naught? Regardless of whether it was coincidental or planned, for Yang Chen there were only merits and no demerits. It was always good to have multiple skills, most of all this kind of ability, which could allow him to step past the boundary of race. If he could cultivate this it would be a great tool for killing. As he had obtained the method, he immediately hurried over to the closest big town in the Desolate Valley. There were a lot of big towns in this valley, which were normally also the places where cultivators would go for replenishing their resources. There were both ordinary people and cultivators in these towns. These towns were normally built at the side of an oasis so that it was convenient for people to live their normal lives. Inside of this kind of town, the security was much tighter compared to the outside. The cultivators also complied with the rules and caused very few disturbances inside. Even if anyone had a disagreement, they would generally go out into the desert to settle them. Although nobody knew who set these rules and there was nobody who forced people to abide by these rules, still nobody violated these unwritten rules. The town was not very big and only had a few hundred households, similar to the size of a village. When Yang Chen had hurried to the town, it was already night and once he entered, he immediately discovered that someone had used their spiritual awareness to examine him, but this spiritual awareness merely examined him and did not have any evil intentions. Yang Chen did not pay much attention to it and hurried to find a room to settle down. Similar to the cultivators coming here, after finding a room Yang Chen immediately sat down to meditate, like almost all others. Yang Chen's behavior was not an exception around here. But nobody knew that Yang Chen was cultivating an ability of the demon race. To cultivate the beast-controlling secret, Yang Chen had to cultivate the cultivation method obtained from the Cyanox first. During the journey here, Yang Chen had already thoroughly researched the whole scripture, he had racked his brain over all of the difficult portions to find the most ideal explanation. Although he did not dare to say that he had fully grasped it, but he had almost comprehended it. But all cultivation methods in the mortal world were like this, after all the cultivation methods were recorded with images and characters, so even if the description was written accurately, there were still chances of mistakes. The so-called comprehension precisely reflected the understanding through these characters and images. If one's perception about them was high, then it could be said that one's comprehension was very profound. Everyone would comprehend the same cultivation method differently, therefore everyone would inevitably cultivate a different cultivation method. Perhaps, apart from the creator of the cultivation methods, no other person could say that they could comprehend the cultivation method completely. This piece of cultivation secret which the Cyanox had left behind was the same, after all the Cyanox belonged to the demon race, so when Yang Chen of the human race would ponder over it, there was bound to be some bias. Yang Chen was a very careful and prudent person, since the Cyanox had said that the conditions required for cultivation were harsh, in all likelihood he wouldn't have exaggerated even a little. Even if he had the assistance of the Cyanox, Yang Chen had still carefully evaluated the difficulty for a long time. On the entire journey, he had carefully considered every kind of possibility and only after he reached here had he started to test it. Carefully manipulating his spiritual awareness according to the cultivation method of the Cyanox, Yang Chen started to cultivate for first time. With the foundation of the three purity secrets, Yang Chen effortlessly completed the first part, but Yang Chen quickly discovered that, while he was cultivating the next part, his primordial spirit began to split up automatically. The last time he was cultivating the three purity secrets, Yang Chen hadn't split his primordial spirit. Because Yang Chen's current cultivation was very low, splitting up the primordial spirit would definitely divide his cultivation and would also slow his cultivation speed. But currently, the primordial spirit has begun to split up on its own, completely out of Yang Chen's control. Seeing this, Yang Chen wanted to stop the cultivation, but he discovered that he was unable to stop. It was as if he was already within a trap, unable to get out. This cultivation method was evil, just like devil cultivation, even if one wanted to stop, it was impossible. Under great alarm, Yang Chen immediately made a decision, since he didn't have a way out, he might as well throw his heart and soul into the cultivation. While his spiritual awareness was dramatically shaking to split up, Yang Chen's consciousness appeared within his spirit sea within a flash. The blood-colored river divided the spirit sea in two as before, in the sky there was the image of the sun, and below the blood-colored river, magma was flowing, while a tree was rising to great heights, as if linking the heavens and earth, but rapidly the spirit sea began to change. The faint image of two immensely huge and curved ox horns appeared on both sides of the river, together with an arched bridge across the river, connecting the two ox horns. The two ox horns were emitting a kind of wild and unruly essence, just as if a fierce and violent ox was dwelling within Yang Chen's spirit sea. This kind of essence gave him a sense of déjà vu, it clearly resembled the sinister appearance of the great Supreme Elder's Cyanox. After the transformations in his spirit sea were completed, Yang Chen's consciousness also returned to his body and once again took control of it. Soon after, Yang Chen was surprised to discover that his own primordial spirit hadn't divided completely and only a small portion seemed to have broken away, this portion already possessed the essence of the Cyanox. Apparently the cultivation method left behind by the Cyanox was already complete, the faint image of the two ox horns within the spirit sea already explained everything. According to Yang Chen's experience, the faintness was clearly because his own understanding of the cultivation method was still not deep enough. The more deeply he cultivated, the more clear the image of the ox horn would be, and the essence would also be more and more similar to the Saiyan ox. Since this portion was already completed, Yang Chen immediately forgot about the lingering fear and began to ponder over the beast controlling secrets. Contrary to what the Saiyan ox had said while giving this to him, the beast controlling secrets were pathetic. Apart from the requirement of the demon race's cultivation, nothing else was complicated. Since Yang Chen already possessed the essence of the Saiyan ox, he immediately began to cultivate the beast controlling secrets. This was an entirely new adventure, and the most fortunate thing about it was that Yang Chen had the 3 purity secrets as a foundation. He had even succeeded in cultivating the cultivation method left behind by the Saiyan ox without any accidents, as if the heavens wanted to make Yang Chen cultivate this beast controlling secrets. Within just one night, Yang Chen had already completed the initial cultivation of the beast controlling secrets. After the beast controlling secrets had successfully accomplished the first circulation of the cultivation method, Yang Chen apparently sensed many types of strange breaths between the heavens and earth. The familiar breath of demon beasts had apparently turned into a kind of smell, becoming easier to detect for Yang Chen. Yang Chen did not need to use his spiritual awareness. But he was still able to effortlessly distinguish the breath of any kind of demon beast in every direction, and he was even able to roughly judge what category of demon beast was in which direction and determine their strength. Even the beast-taming sex people could not do these things, even if it was the Yuning stage Fan Shan, he would also not be able to do this. Their beast-controlling secrets could at most allow them to establish a connection with all kinds of demon beasts, but that was only after subduing them. The beast-controlling secrets which Yang Chen had were entirely different. The ability of the demon race was after all an ability of the demon race. The connection it established with demon beast was somewhat deeper compared to the ability of the beast-taming sect. Yang Chen had only stopped in the town for one night. The next day he departed from the town early in the morning and entered the desert. He wanted to find a demon beast and try the newly cultivated beast-controlling secrets. When Yang Chen caught a sand scorpion, it kept on struggling as before, its tail fiercely trying to pierce Yang Chen's hand. But when Yang Chen activated his beast-controlling secrets, the sand scorpion gradually stopped struggling and soon became motionless. He had connected with the sand scorpion precisely in order to acquire the distribution of spirit power within the extent of its influence. Very quickly, Yang Chen's desire was passed into the consciousness of the sand scorpion, and after that, many different kinds of fuzzy scenes started appearing in Yang Chen's mind. In these scenes, the distribution of the earth-attributed spirit power emerged somewhat vaguely. Success. Yang Chen grew ecstatic. Although this sand scorpion was small, it had already validated Yang Chen's opinion successfully. Currently Yang Chen hadn't informed the upper echelons of the Pure Yang Palace about the huge spell in the desolate valley, so, as long as he could manage it secretly, he would absolutely make the people of the greatest heaven sect suffer in silence. Now Yang Chen did not want it to waste much time. God knows how long this huge spell had been maintained and to what extent the fifth earth true Kai had been gathered. If under this situation someone else reaped the benefits first, then wouldn't he regret it to death? Carefully interacting with the breath in the surroundings, Yang Chen quickly found a big demon beast and flew towards its direction. It was actually not very difficult to distinguish the domain of a demon beast because the more powerful the demon beast was, the bigger its domain. Very simple. In this direction was an earth-attributed beast which had lived for countless years. Although its nature was mild, its strength was really powerful, so the cultivators did not provoke it easily, and ordinary cultivators did not even dare to touch a hair of this huge demon beast, and they lived together in harmony. Usually this earth-attributed beast was concealed under a sand dune, cultivating and resting. Even the people passing above did not notice it. Because of the temperament of the beast, this area was usually considered relatively safe, so people passed through there frequently. When Yang Chen appeared there were also 3 other cultivators passing through. Oh, isn't this a fellow Taoist from Pure Yang Palace? The seal of Pure Yang Palace was pinned on the belt which his great master, Wang Yang, had refined for him, and it could even be seen from far away. The youngster leading the 3 people immediately recognized Yang Chen's sect from the sign, and so his words were rude. Where is he going so hurriedly? Could it be that he is looking for the sect's traitor, Chu Heng? Isn't he worried after the previous incident? After Chu Heng had injured the 4 law enforcement hall's disciples and had them carried back, the Pure Yang Palace was already a target of ridicule in the cultivation world. The Pure Yang Palace had dispatched more than 10 Jidan stage experts to look for Chu Heng, but in the past year they hadn't been able to find any trace of Chu Heng. Because of this, the disciples of the Pure Yang Palace had not been able to raise their heads anywhere they went. But in Yang Chen's eyes, a bright light flashed, and looking at these 3 people flying over, he was also not very polite. The youngster in the lead did not care at all, he casually placed his Qiankan pouch, which was branded with the mark of the greatest heaven sect, in an area where it was easily noticeable, with the intention that Yang Chen could see it clearly. The two people behind him also complied with him and slowed down the speed of their flying swords, and with a mocking gaze they looked at Yang Chen but did not say anything. Sometimes, this kind of silent insult was most humiliating, these three people clearly had this intention. Yang Chen was only initial foundation stage cultivator, while the worst of these three people was at the upper foundation stage and the other two both at the peak foundation stage. No wonder they did not put Yang Chen in their eyes. Although he did not like the three people, Yang Chen was not an impulsive person. Many times strangers meet by chance and it was not necessary that they had to kill each other on the spot. Although they were people from the greatest heaven sect, Yang Chen would not kill them immediately, he was calmly waiting without saying anything. As soon as these three left, he would attend to his business. Oh, it's fellow Taoist Yang himself, could it be he has come to wipe out the shame? That Yang Chen did not say anything did not mean that the enemy would let him off easily, especially after the person leading them had discovered Yang Chen's identity. Because of Chu Heng's matter, the name of Yang Chen, apart from the heaven-seizing pill and pill refining, had turned into a joke at the desolate valley. Most of all among the people of the greatest heaven sect. Because of Yang Chen, the Pure Yang Palace had demanded that the greatest heaven sect admit their crimes and apologize, so how could the disciples of the greatest heaven sect, which was considered as the most righteous sect under the heavens, endure this? Meeting with Yang Chen, how could they allow him to leave without mocking him? Nonsense. This Yang's matter is not important enough for fellow Taoists to pay attention to. Yang Chen coldly said in a rude way. After saying this, he did not say anything more and as before with a steady speed he flew towards his destination. Nonsense. How can it be nonsense? With a laugh, the youth leading them waved his hand and the three people started following Yang Chen with a loud laugh and while laughing, he said to Yang Chen. If you are seriously injured by Chu Heng, then you don't even need to ask, we will save your life and definitely will deliver you back to the Pure Yang Palace. Suddenly, Yang Chen, who was also controlling his flying sword, came to a stop and nimbly turned around. Facing the three disciples of the greatest heaven sect, without concealing the smile on his face he asked. Could it be that fellow Taoists know the location of Chu Heng? Is he still within the desolate valley? If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 105 I Want to Know. Although Yang Chen had a questioning tone, a smile was spread across his face, and his gaze was like the tip of a blade, making the three disciples of the greatest heaven sect who had kept up with him suddenly feel panic. How can he be here? The leading youth evaded Yang Chen's gaze, and while speaking, he was stuttering. The two people behind him even avoided to look at Yang Chen. The single use of the soul-stunning technique lowered the defense of these three people for an instant and they involuntarily revealed their innermost thoughts. From the behavior of these three people, Yang Chen was certain that, although these three may not know the exact location of Chu Heng, he was still hiding within the desolate valley. Since Chu Heng had not been taken care of, it was like a blood-colored print of a tight slap on the face of Pure Yang Palace, which could only be cleaned by using Chu Heng's blood. Yang Chen had been shown care at the sect for 2 lives, so how could he allow Chu Heng to get away? Yang Chen was very clear about this point, so were Chu Heng, the people of the Pure Yang Palace and the other sects, so naturally these three people in front of him also knew this very clearly. Yang Chen's question made them remember some taboo. Chu Heng was already the traitor of a sect, this was clearly an inside matter of the Pure Yang Palace, even if the greatest heaven sect was very formidable, and Chu Heng was very supportive towards the greatest heaven sect, but as long as the Pure Yang Palace and the greatest heaven sect were not openly hostile with each other. Even if it was the greatest heaven sect, it wouldn't dare to brazenly shelter Chu Heng. This momentary panic had already answered many questions. Naturally, after the three people had awoken from the effects of the soul-stunning technique, they realized their mistake and the first response of the youth was to directly shout awful after sobering up. Although the disciples of the greatest heaven sect were all aware of this kind of big deal, everyone unconsciously believed that their sect apologizing to the Pure Yang Palace was not an alarming affair, but this current matter should not be brought up in front of the public. The reason why they had to apologize was that the people of the Pure Yang Palace also helped operating the heavenly stairs, so they knew the truth. If this kind of matter was exposed in front of everyone, that would certainly be far from good. They had not realized this from the beginning, as definitely their cultivation was higher than Yang Chen, but nobody dared to look Yang Chen in the eye. This kind of sensation really made these people feel humiliated. Their strong egos, together with the scare of that secret being revealed, made the three of them have the same intentions. All of them glanced at each other and immediately saw that the others also had the same idea as themselves. This was a desolate region, far from towns, uninhabited in all directions. They also released their spiritual awareness and made sure that, apart from them, no other person was inside this region. It was indeed an ideal place to kill someone, especially because a powerful demonic beast lived in this region, so even if someone discovered the crime someday, everyone would just think that he had lost his life at the hands of the demonic beast, and it would not be strange to anyone. They had heard that Yang Chen was a third-grade pill concocting master, so naturally he would have a lot of good things on him. After killing Yang Chen, they would all conveniently pass over to them. Let alone his other things, the belt was already enough to make them jealous just by looking at it. When Yang Chen saw the killing intent in their eyes, he revealed a smile. He had not wanted to kill these people, but they were courting death themselves, so nobody else was to blame. Since it's like this, then I will not trouble fellow Taoists anymore. Yang Chen cupped his hands towards them, turned around and continued to fly on his flying sword toward the sand dune of the earth-attributed beast. Since they wanted to kill him, Yang Chen did not say much. The three people were about to attack him, but seeing Yang Chen's flying direction, the three became happy. They had spent a long time at this desolate valley, naturally they clearly knew what lied in that direction. Yang Chen was going himself, saving them the labor of transporting him. Yang Chen in front, the three people behind, they flew for more than half a day under Yang Chen's slow speed, only stopping at the sand dune, which was occupied by the earth-attributed beast. This earth-attributed beast never took the initiative to attack cultivators. The three people behind him were very clear about this, but seeing Yang Chen land precisely on that sand dune had alarmed them, so the three of them thought of a scheme to prevail over him. The three people divided in three directions, indistinctly surrounding Yang Chen. Yang Chen acted as if he had become too tired. After collecting the flying sword, he sat down on the sand dune and began to rest. Taking out a pouch of water from his Qianqin pouch, he began to drink big mouthfuls, not guarding against the three people surrounding him at all. The disciples of the greatest heaven sect looked at Yang Chen as if he were a fool. They had seen inexperienced people, but they hadn't seen someone who did not know how to guard himself. If Yang Chen had come out there to train after reaching the foundation stage, it would be a miracle if he didn't die. The circle of the three people began to shrink towards the center. Everyone had readied their flying swords with a mutual understanding. In any case they were flying using their flying swords, so they could use them anytime. Only Yang Chen, who was not aware of the danger, had put away his flying sword and was resting on the earth-attributed beast's back. Seeing the three people approach him, the smile on Yang Chen's face became even brighter. He even waved his hand at the leading youth and asked in a loud voice. "Fellow Taoist, did you remember something and want to tell me?" "No, I didn't, we merely wanted to rest. Do you mind, fellow Taoist Yang?" the leading youth said with the most innocent smile. His speed was not very quick, slowly flying towards Yang Chen. Behind Yang Chen's body, from two directions, the other two people were also flying at this speed, slowly coming together. Hearing that they did not have anything to tell him, Yang Chen stretched both of his hands and yawned while facing the leading youth. It seemed as if he did not care about them coming over to rest. Both of his eyes drooped and both eyelids also closed, as if he was really resting. "Fellow Taoist Yang, the feng shui of this region is pretty good." With their figures already approaching closer and closer, they were already only a short distance away from the edge. At this distance, the three people intended to attack at the same time, not to mention that Yang Chen was an initial foundation stage disciple. Even if he was a peak foundation stage disciple, he still wouldn't have been able to escape. "Yes. The feng shui is really pretty good." Yang Chen raised his head to reply, and seeing the encirclement in the surroundings, he nodded slightly, then he looked at the leading youth and said with a meaningful smile. "This is making me recall a sentence which I say rather frequently." "Oh?" The leading youth had already begun to store energy, but he still asked Yang Chen with a false smile. "A frequent sentence? Fellow Taoist Yang, what is that sentence?" "For every debt there is a debtor, we had no past grudges nor any hatred, fellow Taoists why insist on walking this road?" Yang Chen was staring at the leading youth, blurting out his catchphrase. Hearing Yang Chen's words, provoking them, how could the three not understand that Yang Chen had already seen through them? The leading youth was alarmed, not able to deal with him anymore, he said in loud voice. "Let's fight." The flying sword under his feet already separated from him and turned into a sword light, flying towards Yang Chen, who stood in front of them. Two more flying swords, from the two behind him, also flew directly towards Yang Chen's position. In a flash, Yang Chen would be pierced by three flying swords together. In the time it took for a flint to strike a spark, the sand dune beneath Yang Chen's feet began to transform and in a moment rose to more than 10 meters high, lifting Yang Chen with it. The three flying swords issued three ear-piercing sounds and under their master's control, they took a huge turn within the sky and continued towards Yang Chen's rising body to stab him. Boo. Suddenly from underground a muffled roar was heard, following which a huge foot with a perimeter of several meters appeared in front of them and ruthlessly swatted down from the top. The three flying swords, as if they had hit an invisible protective screen, only issued a soft tinkling sound and fell down to the ground. At some time, an immense pressure had appeared on the three people, as if Mount Tai was pushing down on them. Under this kind of immense pressure, the three people in the air were not able to fly, and like loose kites they started to fall to the ground. Regardless of however the three people tried to manipulate their spirit power in the sky, they were unable to block this immense pressure. Three people who had never faced this kind of immense pressure flapped with their hands and feet but heavily fell to the ground. Fortunately for them, the ground of the desolate valley was made up of scattered sand and the three of them had been flying just a few meters above the ground, so they weren't seriously injured by the fall. Immediately after they had fallen down and made contact with the ground, they jumped up on their feet. But the nightmare hadn't ended. As soon as the leading youth leaped and stood up, that foot which had swatted away the three flying swords had suddenly appeared, but then another foot appeared from the sand beneath his feet. When the other two followers saw this scene, they were greatly spooked. They did not even care to pick up their flying swords which had been knocked to the ground, only using the force of the foot to accelerate, wanting to leave this frightening region. The speed of the follower at the peak foundation stage was very quick, but as soon as he flew slightly into the sky, he suddenly felt everything before his eyes turn black. As if he had entered a huge black hole, he was not able to see anything clearly, the surroundings had a fishy smell, but he did know where he was. The most lucky among them was the follower with the strength of the upper foundation stage, because his flying speed was a little slow, and as a result, he saw his last companion burst into the huge mouth of the ferocious beast which flashed and immediately faded away. This scene frightened this last remaining follower, who was on the verge of losing consciousness. Only now did he become clear what had happened. This was the dwelling place of a well-known earth-attributed beast, that one foot which had swatted down the leading youth and the large mouth which had swallowed his other companion, belonged precisely to the earth-attributed beast. But didn't that beast have a reputation of not taking the initiative to attack cultivators? Then how else could everything that happened in front of him be explained? In any case, the surviving follower was scared endlessly, the sudden misfortune had already completely destroyed his ability to think. Apart from shivering with fear towards this earth-attributed beast, he could not make any movements. The cruel actions of the demonic beast, together with its frightening body, had caused a great shock to him, adding on to that the powerful pressure exerted by that demonic beast, the remaining follower, had already been scared out of his wits, not even daring to make any movement. But suddenly he opened both eyes with alarm and saw that the mouth of the ferocious beast was slowly approaching him, its two nostrils thicker than the person himself were blowing out a fishy stench into his face. The minor follower wanted to faint immediately, so that he didn't have to confront this kind of frightening beast. Suddenly the figure of a person slowly appeared in his field of view and slowly started to become clear. By the time the follower could begin to focus on the person, Yang Chen had already appeared in front of him. "Hello Taoist, the feng shui here is really pretty good, isn't it?" In the eyes of the follower, Yang Chen was like a demon at this time, just hearing his voice made him jolt twice. You gurgle gurgle. Facing Yang Chen, the follower couldn't even speak a complete sentence in front of him. His jaw involuntarily trembled, sending out loud and clear gurgling sound. "I want to know where the traitor of my Pure Yang Palace is." Yang Chen still had the same smile from the beginning, as if talking with a close friend, he approached the person who was scared stiff and asked with a smile. "Can you tell me where he is?" Desolate Valley." While shivering continuously, the follower managed to say this in a bumpy voice, but he did not dare to glance at Yang Chen anymore, let alone the huge beast, which had stopped over his head all along, incessantly dropping its thick saliva and puffing its fishy stench steam on him. "Where in the desolate valley?" Yang Chen continued to ask. This was certainly a pleasant surprise. Chu Heng was surprisingly still within the desolate valley, surely someone had carefully hid him, even though the Jidan stage experts of the Pure Yang Palace had searched all around for him, they had supposedly all neglected the desolate valley. After all, who would think that he would still dare to hide at the desolate valley? Which was completely unfavorable to him with regards to spirit power. The most dangerous region was the most safe, surprisingly Chu Heng had this kind of insight and courage. Don't know, the uncle masters might know, perhaps. Under the huge mouth of the earth-attributed beast, the follower didn't have the smallest intention of resisting, and after talking, he began to speak fluently, immediately revealing whatever he knew, fearing that if he spoke even a little slowly, he would be swallowed. The follower was a minor person, so not knowing this kind of secret was pardonable. Yang Chen smiled towards him and turned around to walk away. The follower released a breath of relief, but immediately he sensed a heat over his head, following which a darkness spread before his eyes, and when reaching out his hand, he felt a few sharp pillars. "Partner, please excuse me and raise your foot." Regardless of what was happening behind his body, Yang Chen just yelled loudly, without turning his head. With a rumbling sound, the huge foot began to move, revealing the leading youth at his last breath within the huge footmark. After using some special techniques and swallowing a Yang Kai pill, the youth released a long breath, lasting for a long time, and began to get up slowly. Fellow Taoist. While trying to get up, the youth had just opened his eyes when he heard Yang Chen's voice from above his head. It felt completely unreal. I want to know about your sex arrangements at the Desolate Valley. Can fellow Taoists satisfy my small curiosity or not? If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 106 Looking for an even larger territory. The Peak Foundation stage disciple, who was almost killed under the foot of the earth, attributed beast and was at his last breath, wasn't able to hide anything when faced with Yang Chen's soul-stunning technique. Yang Chen didn't even need to use his killing intent, just asking what he needed to know was enough. The Greatest Heaven sect had several disciples training here, most of them were wood and earth attributed, but this was not very strange, as most of the cultivators who came here were wood or earth attributed. Also, since these disciples had been sent to train here, the Greatest Heaven sect also had a few Zhanxian stage experts keeping watch and provide support, which was also completely logical. It was also said that there was also a Wielding stage expert among these overseers. On the front, everything seemed normal, but Yang Chen knew about the most important matter here. The matter related to the Great Spell, most likely these low-level disciples didn't know anything about it. The matter regarding Chu Heng had not been concealed by the Greatest Heaven sect. In order to make friends with Li Chen Qian of the Greatest Heaven sect, Chu Heng had tried to suppress Yang Chen, because of which he was expelled from the Pure Yang Palace. So most disciples of the Greatest Heaven sect were in support of Chu Heng, and although the Greatest Heaven sect couldn't support Chu Heng openly, they could still hide him at a region where nobody could investigate. At least in the Desolate Valley, Chu Heng was living very comfortably, the Greatest Heaven sect supplied him with everything he needed and he had also obtained their support. In these few years, Chu Heng had already become familiar with almost all disciples of the Greatest Heaven sect at the Desolate Valley. If anything happened, these disciples of the Greatest Heaven sect were the ones to notify him. The news that the Pure Yang Palace had sent Zhanxian stage experts to look for him had also reached him before they arrived because of these disciples, leading to those experts returning back in failure. In addition to that, Chu Heng was properly hidden within the Desolate Valley and was also increasing his strength with the help of the Greatest Heaven sect. As for the Greatest Heaven sect, they were secretly assisting Chu Heng so that they could ruin the reputation of the Pure Yang Palace to take revenge for their previous defeat when they had to admit their mistakes and apologize. Now they could turn the Pure Yang Palace into a joke at the same time. This kind of gentle act was precisely a business where they could invest little and reap many rewards. Chu Heng is in the Desolate Valley, very good. The smile on Yang Chen's face widened more and more. The originally incomparably arrogant youngster was lying down on the ground like an idiot, without saying anything. Yang Chen jumped up onto the foot of the beast and lightly waved his hand to turn around and depart. The ferocious beast opened its mouth and swallowed the youth lying on the ground. Currently the earth-attributed beast had a cultivation comparable to the Zhanxian stage, adding onto that the strength of its body and its huge size, even human cultivators at the same stage, were not its rival. Fortunately the temperament of the earth-attributed beast was mild and it did not take initiative to attack cultivators. When Yang Chen was lying on its back, he was able to establish a connection with it in the first attempt. The beast controlling secrets were really a remarkable ability of the demon race. Yang Chen hadn't intended to control this demon beast and had only intended to establish a connection so that he could obtain the information he needed. Once the link was established, the remaining matters were very easy. The fate of the three cultivators had already been sealed after running into the demon beast. Although the earth-attributed beast had a mild nature and did not take the initiative to attack, it did not mean that it lacked the strength to attack. Yang Chen had asked it for help and it had taken care of them with ease. Soon afterward it spat out their Qianqin pouches and their magic weapons, as it could not refine them, before Yang Chen on the ground. These three people were earth-attributed, so they were the best kind of tonic for the earth-attributed beast. Naturally, Yang Chen didn't take this help without returning anything and immediately gave it 1,000-year-old ginseng. Although it was said that it was 1,000 years old, it had actually already matured to 2,000 years, so even for the Zhanxian stage earth-attributed beast, it was a rare item. After giving it these benefits, Yang Chen's request to know about the distribution of spirit power in the surroundings and its direction was easily handled. Very soon a complete map of several hundred miles radius in the surroundings appeared within his mind. The earth-attributed beast had seized this place for a long time, some even said for 1,000 years. A few times per year it would patrol its territory, so it was completely familiar with its surroundings, and its cultivation was also high, so it could clearly recognize the distribution of spirit power in the surroundings. Such a detailed description of the distribution of spirit power immediately gave Yang Chen a basic foundation of knowledge over the huge spell hidden within the desolate valley. After all, this huge spell had to rely on the natural terrain, and this area was at the corner of the huge spell. Yang Chen was already roughly able to estimate the general direction of spell, as well as the direction in which its critical points were. His interactions with the earth-attributed spirit beast were quite pleasant, and after asking about some powerful neighbors, Yang Chen quickly took his leave and flew towards another direction. If there were 4 or 5 more demon beasts as powerful as this earth-attributed beast, then Yang Chen could draw an outline of the huge spell, so when the times came, everything could be covered in a glance. The 3 young talents of the greatest heaven sect, from the inside to the outside, from flesh to bones, they had completely disappeared without a trace in this short time. The earth-attributed beast also threw the 3 Qianqin pouches towards Yang Chen without any hesitation. In all likelihood, it was also aware that these kind of big sects could use Qianqin pouches to locate their disciples. After seeing its intelligent actions, Yang Chen would absolutely not believe in rumors that this earth-attributed spirit beast was mild in nature and did not take the initiative to attack cultivators. Perhaps this earth-attributed spirit beast had established its reputation as being harmless for a very long time, but if it could make these kinds of judgments, then there was no way that it had only ever killed these 3 people. In all likelihood there had been many solitary cultivators going missing in this region, only nobody had paid attention and investigated it. Yang Chen didn't care much about the Qianqin pouches, and neither did he care much about killing 1 or 2 people of the greatest heaven sect, so he threw them into his achievement ring, as he didn't want to face trouble in the future. After quickly flying to the edge of the earth-attributed beast's territory, Yang Chen slowed down his speed. According to the information of the earth-attributed beast, its neighbor at this side was not very friendly. Not only was it extremely violent, its strength was also higher than the earth-attributed beast by far. Its territory was very large, at least 4 to 5 times larger than its neighbor. This caught Yang Chen's interest even more. This kind of powerful strength, could it be that it was at the wielding stage already? The demon race were not ranked like this was merely used for comparison. But if it was really true, wouldn't its domain be even larger? As long as he could obtain information about the terrain of this region, Yang Chen would not have worked much. Naturally, this demon beast, Meadow Viper, was not that easy to convince. Its strength was formidable, so if they couldn't come to an agreement, Yang Chen estimated there would be some problems. Therefore, Yang Chen had to prepare properly in advance, so that he was not at a loss of what to do when the time came. The reason which gave Yang Chen the confidence to confront the Meadow Viper, apart from the beast controlling secrets, was that the speed of the Meadow Viper was slower, and Yang Chen had Flying Sword in his collection, the speed of which was amazingly fast. Although it could not compare to the speed of a magic weapon especially made for speed, but according to the description of the Meadow Viper, fleeing from it wasn't much of a problem. Even the earth-attributed beast could escape using its earth evasion. If the affair did not go well, then Yang Chen could also flee in time to a secure region. Because of this guarantee for safety, Yang Chen had become brazen enough to go and meet the Meadow Viper after he had made enough preparations. Compared to the mildness in the area of the earth-attributed beast, in this area, a berserk breath rippled through the atmosphere. Within the desolate valley, there were some regions where the low-level disciples who had come to train were not allowed to enter by any means. This region was one of those. Yang Chen was using the beast controlling secrets to the pinnacle, requesting to establish a connection with the idea of asking for directions wrapped within his spiritual awareness and released it in a long range. He himself was standing on the flying sword, carefully and slowly flying forward so that if he sensed anything abnormal, he would immediately escape. The territory of the Meadow Viper was huge. In half a day, Yang Chen could completely traverse the territory of the earth-attributed beast, but he had to spend 1 whole day in the territory of the Meadow Viper. It certainly also had something to do with his caution, but this clearly illustrated the magnitude of the Meadow Viper's territory. The sky became dark and bright again, the next day appeared and the blazing sun was heating up the ground, steam was rising in the surroundings, even without a trace of moisture. Yang Chen did not pay any attention towards this kind of atmosphere, but he had already manipulated the beast controlling secrets for a whole day and night now, yet there wasn't a trace of a response, as if there wasn't any demon beast which Yang Chen could connect to within this huge territory. This was clearly not possible. Even if it was a powerful demon beast, within its own territory it still required food, so it required some coexistence on some level, otherwise, wouldn't the already lonely demon beast be even more lonely? But in such a long time, no kind of demon beast had surprisingly established a connection with himself. Clearly this was not right. There was only one possible cause. The master of this territory. According to the description given by the earth-attributed beast, Yang Chen had reached the core of the Meadow Viper's territory, but until now there hadn't been any signs of something appearing. This already indicated a lot of problems. Finally, after this step, Yang Chen no longer moved forwards. Under the probing with his spiritual awareness, there was no demonic beast in his surroundings, which were dreadfully calm. Wrinkling his brows, he had only stopped the flying sword for a single moment when he suddenly turned around and rapidly left. As soon as he did this, an enormous pressure suddenly appeared in Yang Chen's surroundings. The sand below his feet had become similar to a flowing river and began to divide in two halves, while a huge body suddenly appeared, penetrating through the ground and started to rise steeply. The fierce demon beast rushed towards Yang Chen's direction with its mouth open. If Yang Chen had been even a little bit slower, he would have been in its mouth. Naturally, Yang Chen would not rush into mouth of the meadow viper. The flying sword turned around swiftly and rushed into another direction, but after changing directions, he discovered that he had been surrounded by the body of the meadow viper on all sides. Regardless of where he turned, he would run into the body of the meadow viper everywhere. In addition to that, at this moment, the huge mouth of the meadow viper was not facing towards Yang Chen, but rather rose high into the air and afterwards looked down from a height. Yang Chen was trapped between the mouth and the body of the meadow viper. Its two blood-red eyes were as if shooting death rays, attentively staring at Yang Chen, its long tongue incessantly flicking. Yang Chen hadn't anticipated that the body of the meadow viper would be so huge. After all, he hadn't had much contact with demon beasts in his previous life, and even when he had, that was after ascending. The demon beasts of the spiritual world and immortal world were also completely different. They did not depend just on their body to fight in the least. The long body was already more than 1,000 meters long. The thinnest region of its body was several tens of meters in diameter. It was coiling on the ground as if huge walls twisted around to form a confinement. The scales on its body were emitting a black halo, like a natural body protecting armor. The essence of earth attributed spirit power wrapped its entire body. Yang Chen was completely sure, even if he used the most powerful flying sword he had to attack these scales, he would be able to break at most 10 or so scales before suffering a critical attack from the meadow viper. At this moment, Yang Chen could not retreat and could only remain hanging within the sky, motionless. But there wasn't even a trace of fear of Yang Chen's face. He was transmitting the intent to establish a connection to ask for some things using the beast controlling secrets as before, his eyes staring at the two huge eyes, not swaying for even a single moment. Yang Chen had spread his spiritual awareness widely, but he was not able to discover the location of the main body of the meadow viper. This clearly explained one thing, that the cultivation realm of the opponent exceeded his, and it was also possible that it knew a technique to hide its presence. No wonder that the frightening name of the meadow viper had spread far. Just this technique alone was enough to make cultivators at the same realm go green with envy. It had to be known that demon beasts did not care about being honorable or sinister, confronting the enemy. Their only aim was to kill the enemy. It basically did not care about the method. "You are a fellow Taoist from my demon race. Why do you have the appearance of a cultivator?" Within his spiritual awareness, a voice was suddenly transmitted with a cruel will, basically not paying any attention to Yang Chen's intent to ask for information, as if interrogating him, and moreover, not tolerating Yang Chen not giving answer. "What kind of benefits will I have by informing you?" As long as the other person had established the connection, then there would not be any great problems for Yang Chen. Releasing the spiritual awareness which had passed through beast controlling secrets, he rapidly transmitting his intent without opening his mouth. Yang Chen knew that the best method to communicate with a demon beast was to get directly to the point. At this stage, they still hadn't learned a method for tactful communication, so to approach them, one had to be straightforward and get directly to the point. Directly expressing his intentions was the best method, which would also not create any misunderstandings. Once it understood Yang Chen's intent, a chill flashed through the eyes of the meadow viper. Its eyes were as if shooting blades, rushing towards the bottom of Yang Chen's heart. It had never intended to communicate with Yang Chen, it only wanted to force Yang Chen into submission. Due to this, a formidable killing intent encased in spiritual awareness attacked Yang Chen, but Yang Chen didn't care at all. He widely opened his own spirit sea and forced this threatening killing intent to go in. Once it entered Yang Chen's spirit sea, ripples suddenly emerged in the blood-colored river, and in a flash, it turned into a huge blood-colored hand, seizing this spiritual awareness and dissolving it completely. The meadow viper immediately sensed its killing intent being dissolved. It immediately stopped its movement and, leaning its head with its gaze fixed on Yang Chen, transmitted a threat of consciousness. "What do you want?" If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 107 Colluding with a Ruffian. For demon beasts, if they couldn't probe successfully, they would change their ways. Among demon beasts, there was no fight to the death if they were not fighting over territory, natural resources or prey. If there was a large difference in strength, then perhaps the powerful one would forcefully subdue the weaker one, but if the strength of both sides did not have a large discrepancy, then the best method was to negotiate. The demon beasts were no fools, most of all those under the covetous eyes of the cultivators in the desolate valley. Yang Chen could sense what the meadow viper was thinking, since he had directly swallowed its killing intent without paying any attention. Naturally he was not much weaker. Since Yang Chen was merely asking for directions and did not have any intentions of harming it in any way, it naturally would not immediately attack him. It wanted to find the secret behind Yang Chen being able to turn into a human. Naturally it would not mind paying some price. Although the meadow viper had already learned how to hide its appearance at this stage, that was merely its innate instinct. It also hadn't learned how to hide its strength, but it was very clear about this point. Regular cultivators who were not equal to it were intimidated by that sort of killing intent, but Yang Chen was different. That was naturally a great trouble for it. Strength was the only way which allowed both sides to communicate with equality. Since Yang Chen had continued under its threat, that naturally gave him the qualifications to communicate with it on equal terms. Apart from the things I want to ask, you should help me accomplish 3 tasks, and you should also protect me when I obtain some things at the desolate valley. This demon beast meadow viper could hide its appearance, and it was also very powerful, so Yang Chen definitely would not let this kind of hired hand slip off his hands. Regardless of whether it was collecting the earth attributed True Kai or kill Chu Heng, both tasks required this kind of powerful helper, and in return, Yang Chen would just give it some simple technique to transform its appearance. This appearance transforming secrets was one of the most basic things in the spiritual world. The demon beasts who ascended would learn this first, so basically it was not worth anything, but perhaps in this world it was somewhat precious. Although the appearance transforming secrets were marvelous, their only function was to transform the appearance and nothing more. It could allow a demon beasts to transform their appearance to a human-like appearance, but innately they were still demon beasts, and since they could not cultivate through humanity's methods, they also couldn't change the breath of a demon beast, so even if it would spread in this world, it would not be a big problem. The earth-attributed beast only had the strength of Zhanxian stage expert, so it couldn't use these kinds of techniques, but the meadow viper had a strength of the wielding stage, so using this properly, it could become a great helper for Yang Chen, and naturally Yang Chen could pay an even higher price to rope it in. But for the meadow viper, this kind of thing which could turn it into a human-like appearance was exactly something it had been looking for. It could hide itself by using the appearance transforming secrets, so it could conceal itself among humans, which would increase its safety from the people plotting against it, so how could it not be tempted? Okay, deal. The way how demon beasts handled affairs was really straightforward, either do or don't do, there wasn't any beating around the bush. Or possibly, they hadn't learned how to be tactical. After the meadow viper had heard all of the conditions, it only thought about the merits and demerits, and immediately replied. At the same time as it finished speaking, a white-colored halo flew from above the head of Meadow Viper and slowly flew into Yang Chen's body. This was the method unique to demon beasts to conclude an agreement, using a thread of the demon soul, wrapped in spiritual awareness. When both sides agreed, both of them had restrictions, which were returned only after the completion of the agreement. This thread of demon soul also contained the contents of the agreement between both sides, which could not be altered. During this, the pair of ox horns in Yang Chen's spirit sea immediately divided to form a small trace, which turned into 2 very small ox horns, which were also delivered similarly. The meadow viper opened its mouth, and Yang Chen's trace of demon soul entered its mouth. After entering the spirit sea, Yang Chen saw that this thread of the demon soul also had the appearance of the meadow viper's main body, only a lot smaller. So you were a Saiyan ox originally. After receiving Yang Chen's demon soul, the meadow viper immediately transmitted this, as if it had become aware of the original form of Yang Chen's real body at that moment. This is the appearance transforming secrets. Yang Chen also did not say any superfluous words and immediately took out a blank jade slip. Afterwards he engraved the cultivation method of the appearance transforming secrets and threw it to the meadow viper. The meadow viper swallowed the jade slip. For the demon beasts, their bodies were the best kind of Qiankan pouch. Not only was it convenient, but they also didn't have to worry about losing it. Within half an hour, the meadow viper read and understood the contents of the jade slip. It was at a realm where it had already comprehended many things, so it realized the underlying principle very rapidly. The huge body of the meadow viper started trembling and frantically issuing sounds of pushing and pulling, as if many bones in its body were being compressed. From the surroundings of the entire body, a white gas was coming out, but under the sun it was completely fuzzy. With those sandstorms whipping over the ground, Yang Chen's field of view was covered completely. Yang Chen was very courteous and did not use his spiritual awareness to see what exactly was happening within the sandstorm. Demon beasts do not wish for other people to look at them when they are vulnerable, unless they do not have a choice, so this was the minimum courtesy. Hacha. Catcha. After the sound of breaking the bones resounded for a long time, they began to slowly quiet down. The sandstorm in Yang Chen's surroundings also settled. By this time, Yang Chen had already landed on the ground and collected his flying sword. Since they had already reached a deal, for the time being he was not in danger, demon beasts were much more reliable than cultivators. After the sandstorm had dissipated, what appeared was an ordinary meadow viper with a length of 3 meters, and it did not have that kind of crazily huge body anymore. It crawled in front of Yang Chen and raised its body, erecting its head high. It confronted Yang Chen and immediately transmitted via spiritual awareness. That appearance transforming technique is really effective. The meadow viper had cultivated the appearance transforming technique for the first time, but its body had already been reduced in size by 100 folds. Although it still hadn't transformed into a human, just the change in size was enough to make all cultivators confronting it loosen their guards. Although it looked just like an ordinary meadow viper, trying to catch it meant death. There is still more work to do, you require some more time to be able to transform into human shape. Yang Chen said, while nodding his head. Although using spiritual awareness was still the customary method to communicate, he was more fond of talking. Slowly learn to speak, alright. If you don't want to be seen through by the people at a glance, then either speak in front of them or remain completely mute. Where do you want to go? I will lead you. On the ground, the meadow viper nodded its head, but its body scuttled forward, coiling around Yang Chen's leg. This movement of the meadow viper did not surprise Yang Chen in the least, it was common knowledge that snake types like to coil around things, cultivating demon beasts were no exception. But this would not make anyone suspicious, at most, people would think that it was a demon beast tamed by Yang Chen or just a pet, they would absolutely not guard against it. Yang Chen extended his hand, allowing the meadow viper to rise above his arm, and asked, wrinkling his brows. The appearance transforming secrets require at least several years before you can change shape into a human, so have you thought properly about going with me? Who will take care of your territory? I have already been trapped in this region for more than 1,000 years because of my body, I have never before left the desolate valley. The meadow viper was constantly buzzing, coiled on Yang Chen's arm, it transmitted the thought. Even if I can conceal my breath, my body can still be found. Previously if I had crossed this boundary, I would have to fight with many cultivators who desire for territory. I want to see more places and increase the scope of my knowledge and experience. This was a very reasonable demon beast, Yang Chen wouldn't have to discuss much with it. In fact, since it had already reached the wielding stage, if it weren't trapped because of its body, it would have already left to travel long ago. Being trapped in a corner like this, the good thing would be that nobody would dare to provoke it in its territory, but the bad thing was that it was trapped here like in a jail. These past few years, haven't you come across a group of experts? Yang Chen asked while walking with it on his side. Yang Chen wasn't formal, this was the best kind of bodyguard he could get, his concealed weapon against those who are plotting against him. In any case, he had the demon soul of the other party with him, so he did not have to be on guard against it, so what's the harm? Several years ago, a few experts had come here, seemingly to arrange something. The meadow viper replied simultaneously while moving around on Yang Chen's body and continuously probing around things on Yang Chen's body. Currently it had stopped over Yang Chen's belt, saying his observation. After building the framework, these people immediately retreated without bothering me. Actually in the past 1,000 years, people have very rarely come to provoke me, all of them were experts, but they immediately walked away after doing what they came there to do, very boring. Several hundred years ago, Yang Chen secretly assessed within his heart, these people must have been the ones who had arranged the spell. The meadow viper was thinking that they had retreated because of it, but those people certainly would not have walked away because of some difficulties, since they had already laid the spell, they must have retreated after they were done. But Yang Chen did not inform the meadow viper about this, he only asked it to tell him about the distribution and inclination of spirit power in its territory. The meadow viper also had no intentions of going back on its promise, very quickly it transmitted all the things it knew into Yang Chen's spiritual awareness. A map of a region more than 10 times larger than the earth-attributed beasts appeared in Yang Chen's mind. The vastness of the area left Yang Chen staring with his mouth hanging open. This guy's territory covered a major area of the desolate valley, and it was also touching the territory of the earth-attributed beast, so it was very easy for Yang Chen to put them together in his mind. Immediately the spell diagram of the great spell of this quarter of the desolate valley was within Yang Chen's mind. As the small guy at the southern side informed you about me being here. The movement in Yang Chen thoughts, especially when he joined the information with the territory of the earth-attributed beast, immediately made the meadow viper sense something. That's right. Yang Chen did not hide anything, the earth-attributed beast was able to obtain its territory at the edge of the huge territory of the meadow viper, so surely the meadow viper would not have wanted to expand its territory, otherwise, with the formidable strength of the meadow viper, it could have annexed it a long time ago. Moreover, the meadow viper had addressed that beast very intimately, so surely there was some relation between them. That guy knows how to be patient, most people like to walk at the side his territory, delivering themselves to be eaten by him. The meadow viper had again scuttled along Yang Chen's other arm. In those days, I was not that intelligent, which had led to this situation where the people don't dare to come here, so I didn't get the opportunity to eat nutritious people, and I could only absorb spirit power. The meadow viper expressed deep regret with its spiritual awareness. Yang Chen had known for a long time that the earth-attributed beast was not that simple, but he still hadn't anticipated that the meadow viper would give it such a high assessment. After completing what he came for and also obtaining such a formidable helper for the time being, Yang Chen didn't let the meadow viper's knowledge go to waste and immediately asked. Which of your neighbors in the surroundings is easy to handle? Let's go there to ask for directions. Towards the west. The meadow viper replied without any hesitation. In any case, since it had decided to follow Yang Chen, then it also had to be ready to leave this territory, so it didn't matter where it went, since Yang Chen asked, it would introduce them to one of its old friends, which would surely not be any trouble, and in this way he could also show off in front of them. Since the desolate valley was a region to train, it had to retain some of its formidable demon beasts, so that the aim of tempering disciples could be achieved. Therefore, the experts of the sects didn't mindlessly massacre the demon beasts there. Even formidable ones like the meadow viper could be used as an opponent to train experts, so even if someone wanted to eradicate them, a large number of people would not be willing. This was also one of the reasons why the meadow viper wanted to leave this region, though Yang Chen hadn't asked much, he was capable of putting this together. With the help of the meadow viper, Yang Chen could find out the inclination of the spell within a short amount of time, thus deducing the place where the earth-attributed true Kai was being accumulated. Those people arranging the spell would have never thought about the existence of a freak like Yang Chen, much less about such heaven-defying beast-controlling secrets. Yang Chen had just revealed the tip of the great iceberg arranged several hundred years ago, but to whom the earth-attributed true Kai would belong in the future was not certain. When Yang Chen had found the right direction, the meadow viper was coiling around Yang Chen's neck, its long body coiled entirely around Yang Chen. If a normal cultivator saw this scene, where a 3-meter-long snake was coiling around a person's body, they would be scared out of their wits. Naturally, he would not show these kinds of circumstances in front of other cultivators. Fortunately, this was the territory of the meadow viper. Normally, other than experts, people dared to come in only very rarely. Yang Chen had intentionally slowed his speed, even giving up traveling on his flying sword, and had returned to foot so that the meadow viper could intensify its cultivation of the appearance-transforming secrets during this time. By the time when Yang Chen had crossed the territory of the meadow viper, 1 month had passed already. During this time, the meadow viper had become extremely proficient in using the appearance-transforming secrets, its body had already turned from 3 meters long to 3 foot long, again decreasing more than tenfold. The 3-foot-long snake coiling around Yang Chen's body was not very eye-catching. Once they exited the meadow viper's territory, the meadow viper started issuing a wave of hissing sounds and released its spiritual awareness entirely, trying to notify that old friend whose territory they had already entered. Merely, in Yang Chen's eyes, this sounded more like issuing a challenge rather than notifying. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 108 Assembling the Map. This master of this territory was a sand scorpion, which had a cultivation similar to meadow viper and was at the wielding stage. The difference in their strengths was not very large. Hearing the meadow viper provoke the sand scorpion like this, Yang Chen found it very ridiculous. Since the body of the meadow viper had become smaller, Yang Chen could take it along on his flying sword and travel faster. Throughout the whole journey, the meadow viper kept on with its arrogant provocations, as if fearing that the sand scorpion would not know that it had come. This kind of unbridled provocation made Yang Chen wish to stop the meadow viper by force. After 2 hours, Yang Chen was flying on his flying sword when he suddenly sensed a berserk pressure, crazily rushing towards his location. It didn't need an introduction, this could only be the sand scorpion. Infuriated by the meadow viper, it rushed over to compare its strength with the meadow viper. As a response, Yang Chen immediately stopped his flying sword and landed on the ground. Yang Chen felt that he was very unlucky. Why did he bring along this kind of guy who loved to stir up trouble? Clearly he just wanted to ask for directions. Why was the meadow viper continuously provoking it? The furious ant scorpion, which was also at the wielding stage, could get rid of Yang Chen immediately, as long as it wished. Earlier, the meadow viper was roaring loudly by itself, but now the furious ant scorpion had also joined in. Just as he was hesitating whether or not he should leave, the choice had already been taken away from him. In a flash, the pressure of the sand scorpion was already in the vicinity. Although he couldn't even see its shadow, Yang Chen was sure that the sand scorpion had stopped in his surroundings and was observing him secretly. Bang! Suddenly, from behind his body, a huge mouth opened widely and a string of black pearls rushed out from within the ground with the sound of an explosion. All of a sudden a black light flashed and fiercely tried to pierce Yang Chen. This was actually no string of black pearls, this was the sand scorpion's tail. Without much hesitation, Yang Chen grabbed the meadow viper and dodged the tail of the sand scorpion stinging towards him, while at the same time passing on a message with his spiritual awareness. This is your own problem, settle it yourself. The meadow viper hadn't thought of using Yang Chen as free labor, it flew into the sky, but it already restored its original shape. Its huge body directly coiled around the tail of the sand scorpion, and soon after that, more than half of the hidden sand scorpion's body was pulled out. A 1,000-meter-long meadow viper and a several hundred-meter large sand scorpion, these two huge monsters were battling in the sand, twisting and turning to kill each other. A stabbing tail, fangs, large claws raising here and there, huge bodies smashing here and there, the fierceness was incomparable, leaving deep prints in the desert, with sand filling the entire sky. Regardless of whether it was the sand scorpion or the meadow viper, both of them were earth attributed, so they felt just like fish in a pond, in the desert valley. Sometimes both of them used some magic techniques, their bodies were appearing and disappearing within the desolate valley. If it were not for Yang Chen using his spiritual awareness to follow after them closely, he would have already lost track of them. Yang Chen had already risen into the sky. He could not bear to stay on the ground while several miles of the desert had been overturned by these demon beasts. Their immense roars could be easily heard in a radius of 1,000 miles. If it were not that the regions of these demon beasts were considered as dangerous regions, maybe countless people would have rushed over to take a look. Apparently the two demon beasts had already fought with each other many times, as their fight was quite methodical, and all of their attacks were aimed at the other's weak points. There was a clear pattern within their attack and defense. In addition to that, no strike was critical. Yang Chen had already been observing it for more than 2 hours, and as before, the sounds of fight were coming through, and the battlefield had already shifted to hundreds of miles away from the original location. If it still continued until then, when would it be over? And if after such a big fight, neither side won and they both ended up getting injured, that would be quite annoying for Yang Chen, so he had no other option but to use the beast controlling secrets again and try to communicate with the two beasts in battle. I have only come to ask for directions, I had not thought that it would turn into a life or death battle like this, can you stop? Not only did Yang Chen shout loudly, he also transmitted his spiritual awareness using the beast controlling secrets. Ask for directions. Which roads are even here to ask about? Once Yang Chen opened his mouth, the two demon beasts, which were coiled around each other, forming a ball stopped, and soon after that the sand scorpion unexpectedly asked this. Suddenly he realized a change in the meadow viper, following which he began roaring at the meadow viper, while the meadow viper also began to issue hissing sound at him. Yang Chen was very far and he hadn't entered the interaction between the two demon beasts, but seeing the meadow viper turning big one moment and then turn small again, using this ability to scuttle and jump, he could immediately tell that it was flaunting the recently obtained appearance transforming secrets. The sand scorpion in front of the meadow viper was also astonished at this change. While it was motionlessly observing it, from time to time, its thick carapace was sprouting fog, no one knew whether it was due to anger or envy. After the two demon beasts had communicated for some time, the sand scorpion turned towards Yang Chen and transmitted its intentions to Yang Chen through spiritual awareness. Can you pass on your appearance transforming secrets to me for the same conditions? Was this a good thing? Yang Chen subconsciously nodded, but while he still hadn't thought about it properly, the sand scorpion had already delivered its demon soul, leaving the white halo hanging in front of Yang Chen. After he had reached an agreement with the sand scorpion in a daze, Yang Chen suddenly realized that the demon beasts were no longer the idiots he used to think they were in past, who acted only on their instincts. These decisive actions of the sand scorpion and the meadow viper, together with the actions of the earth-attributed beast, like establishing a reputation as harmless, had toppled his beliefs. After he had exchanged a trace of the demon soul with the sand scorpion and had given it a jade slip containing the appearance transforming secrets, the sand scorpion's body also disappeared within a wave of fog and changed its dimensions to a few meters. As for Yang Chen, he had already gathered two powerful helpers by now. It seemed that his future matters could be accomplished properly and safely. A large chunk was added to Yang Chen's map again. At last, an image of the spirit power's distribution across half of the desolate valley emerged in his mind. He had also obtained the position of half of the great spell, as long as he was able to obtain few more intact maps, he could figure out the complete location of the great spell. The sand scorpion and the meadow viper both had the intention of following Yang Chen, but seeing these two formidable demon beasts following after him, all of a sudden a thought came to him. If he could put these two demon beasts under Pure Yang Palace's influence, then wouldn't the strength of the Pure Yang Palace increase greatly once again? The only problems were whether the Pure Yang Palace would accept the two demons beasts or not, and if the two demon beasts were willing to enter the Pure Yang Palace. Yang Chen decided to think about this problem later. Currently Yang Chen's main concern was the Great Spell Formation, which had been arranged several hundred years ago by the Greatest Heaven Sect, as well as the Earth-attributed True Kai gathered by it. This task could not be given to anyone else. Then there was also the person who had humiliated the Pure Yang Palace. Chu Heng, who absolutely had to die. After obtaining the support of the Sand Scorpion and the Meadow Viper, Yang Chen did not have to worry about his safety in the desolate valley. At this moment, a small Sand Scorpion was sitting on one shoulder and a small Meadow Viper was coiled around the other shoulder. This would absolutely not raise anyone's eyebrows. Once in a while, the Sand Scorpion released a violent breath, but it faded away very quickly. It seemed very unstable. Yang Chen did not know what kind of deal the Sand Scorpion and Meadow Viper had reached, but the Meadow Viper had taught its secret to hide its breath to the Sand Scorpion. But since it was the first time for the Sand Scorpion to learn and practice it, it was unable to control its breath properly, which led to the current situation. 1 month had already passed when they appeared from the territory of the Sand Scorpion, which had become very small. Nobody among those cultivators who came to the desolate valley to train knew that the two formidable and violent demon beasts had both already left their respective dens. Next, Yang Chen chose another direction of the desolate valley to travel to. As for training through battle, the desolate valley also had many Zhanxian stage demon beasts, apart from the Yuning stage demon beasts like the Meadow Viper and the Sand Scorpion. The current direction in which Yang Chen was moving was a little more crowded by cultivators. There also weren't any Yuning stage demon beasts in this direction, just few Zhanxian stage demon beasts. Seeing the two Yuning stage demon beasts helping him, the Zhanxian beasts did not dare to raise any conditions and obediently told him the things they knew about. But Yang Chen hadn't been unreasonable towards them and provided each demon beast with 1,000-year ginseng so that they also didn't have to return empty-handed. But these Zhanxian stage beasts had gone wild with joy after obtaining these benefits. Yang Chen was very certain that using his identity as a demon beast, together with these kind of benefits, they would at least not obstruct him when he is going to accomplish his job, maybe they could even provide some assistance. But those cultivators who had come here to battle would be the ones to suffer most hardships. If these demon beasts ate the 1,000-year ginseng, their strength would reach at least the upper Zhanxian stage, so the level of the battles would also increase. Yang Chen had already completed 3/4 of the Desolate Valleys map within 1 month. Currently Yang Chen's objective was precisely the remaining fourth. This region had the highest number of cultivators and the lowest amount of demon beasts. The most powerful demon beasts were at the initial Zhanxian stage, majority were at foundation stage, and also the number of the foundation stage cultivators maximum here. Since there were many cultivators, naturally there would be many towns for replenishment. During the journey, Yang Chen met many cultivators, including loose cultivators and disciples of every sect. When they met with Yang Chen, they saw the mark on the Qianqin pouch hanging on his waist, after which all of the cultivators noticed that he was a disciple of the Pure Yang Palace. After the disciples of the law enforcement hall of the Pure Yang Palace had met with that accident here, it had become a matter of ridicule. For more than 1 year no people of the Pure Yang Palace had come there, so when they saw Yang Qi, they were all astonished. What business has that disciple of the Pure Yang Palace to come here? Haven't they already lost enough face? There were always some people who enjoyed chaos, as well as people who wished to prove their existence by stepping on other people. When Yang Chen entered the small village, he was immediately met with this kind of ridicule. Hearing the tone of the speaker, the people in the surroundings started laughing wildly. Everyone had been tired due to their battles while training, so when a person like Yang Chen, whom everyone was ridiculing, came over, everyone became happy. Who cared whether Yang Chen had the entire Pure Yang Palace at this back? Everyone was laughing without any restraint, but the people who were laughing most loudly was precisely a group of disciples of the Greatest Heaven Sect. Confronting the ridicule of these people, Yang Chen only smiled but did not say anything. These people were not worth getting angry over. Although the Greatest Heaven Sect were very happy right now, when the great spell prepared by the elders of their sect, which took several hundred years to be laid, would be used by Yang Chen to obtain the earth-attributed true Kai which they had gathered for so many years, would they still be laughing like this? Even for those people who were jeering at the Pure Yang Palace, Yang Chen had a method, which was to get rid of Chu Heng, which would be like a tight slap on the faces of these laughing people. The Sand Scorpion and the Meadow Viper also heard the laughter, but they did not know the circumstances, they only knew that these people laughing at Yang Chen were not friendly. With the strength of the two demon beasts, they could raise this entire town to ground within few moments, but they were forcefully stopped by Yang Chen. The world of humans is not as simple as the world of demon beasts. You both can look and observe as much as you want, but you must not casually expose your status, otherwise you will not be able to go anywhere and will be locked in the desolate valley. Yang Chen could only use this reason to make them aware of the rules of the human world. Yang Chen had underestimated the wisdom of these two demon beasts. They used to sit on Yang Chen's body and only used spiritual awareness to communicate, never opening their mouths, but they carefully observed the people and the surroundings so that they could make preparations to integrate with the human race. Any Wielding stage expert should never be underestimated. The territories of the demon beasts in this region were not very big and were actually small territories they shared. Moreover, many low-level demon beasts were killed frequently, their territories would change frequently, but because of that, the natural resources available for cultivators were not very good there. But as for Yang Chen, who already had a map of the distribution in 80% of the desolate valley, it was not very difficult for him to get a map of the remaining region by walking on foot. The two demon beasts also took favors from the low-level demon beasts from time to time, so Yang Chen very quickly had a complete map of the spirit power distribution. After obtaining the complete diagram of the spirit power distribution, the great spell arranged by the greatest heaven sect was laid bare before him. By calculating the flow of spirit power, Yang Chen was able to find the location where the fifth earth true Kai was being accumulated. If possible, Yang Chen wanted to go there immediately and collect it. But how could the great spell, which had taken several hundred years to arrange, be left unguarded at this critical moment? There would surely be some great expert guarding the core of the great spell, and that core was precisely the location where the earth attributed true Kai was gathered, so it would be guarded even more strictly. I want to know what is the situation there. At last, Yang Chen made his first request to the Meadow Viper. You can conceal your breath and your body has also become a lot smaller, can you infiltrate that region and find out the situation inside? If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 109, setting the stage for a good show. For the Meadow Viper, this was not a difficult task, it had already transformed its body to the size of a young Meadow Viper and concealed its entire breath. It could crawl to the inside, but nobody was able to discover him. Previously, when Yang Chen had been silently surrounded by the Meadow Viper, he also wasn't able to discover it. After entering the small town, Yang Chen immediately found a place to stay and started training in it. He currently already knew the arrangements of the enemy, so what was left was to think of a way to handle it. Tell me, which is better? Should we go and fight over what the enemy has guarded for several years, or is it better to steal it secretly? Sitting upright, Yang Chen consulted the sand scorpion crawling over his body. He had never treated these Wielding stage demon beasts as idiots, and his current inquiry was still honest and sincere. What goal will you achieve by doing that? The sand scorpion transmitted back. Do you only want to obtain something, or do you want to obtain those things while giving the enemy so much pain that they wish to die? First of all, seizing it will make the enemy suffer the greatest amount of pain. Yang Chen hadn't anticipated that the sand scorpion would have such ideas, but seeing this he was delighted and immediately continued communicating with him. Although fighting over things can really be pleasurable for you for a while, to vent out all of your anger, it can lead to many inconveniences. The sand scorpion's words made Yang Chen view the demon race in a new light. But if you can steal it and run away secretly, without the people guarding it knowing the reason why and who had stolen it, then they will have to suffer from the pain of losing something while also being infinitely confused, that is the most painful. Sensing the thoughts of the sand scorpion, a scene flashed within Yang Chen's mind all of a sudden. The entire greatest heaven sect looking for the fifth earth true Kai, which had disappeared without any trace in an unfathomably mysterious way. Their hard work of several years, destroyed without any reasonable explanation, the spell, which had used up a great deal of the sect's natural resources, turned into dust. It may even give rise to internal strife and doubts among themselves. This kind of conclusion made Yang Chen feel even happier. If the traitor of the Pure Yang Palace, Chu Heng, could make the reputation of the Pure Yang Palace reach rock bottom so easily, then what if some of the greatest heaven sect's Wielding experts started quarreling because of this matter? What kind of situation would occur? Since the greatest heaven sect had already made the first move regarding Chu Heng, Yang Chen also did not mind making the last one. What was most surprising to Yang Chen was that Yang Zai, who had been the cause of misfortunes in his previous life, surprisingly had not made his appearance. Could it be that this guy still had to stand out in the greatest heaven sect? For the time being, he decided to put Yang Zai's matter to the back of his mind. Currently Yang Chen needed to observe two people. First was one, who knew the arrangements of the surroundings perfectly, and then another one, who knew the location of Chu Heng. Because of the consideration shown by the greatest heaven sect, Chu Heng had concealed himself extremely well at the desolate valley, so finding him would still require help from the enemy. In addition, even if you want to snatch it, how will you do that? The sand scorpion transmitted the thought, meaning to mock him. The Meadow Viper can sneak in secretly, but your current strength is a little bit lacking. The Sand Scorpion had judged Yang Chen's strength based on his spiritual awareness, but since Yang Chen's current level of spiritual awareness was only at the peak Jidan stage, the Sand Scorpion did not think that Yang Chen could be the opponent of an expert comparable to it. This was a blow to Yang Chen, but he did not tangle with this problem for a long time. In fact, Yang Chen had already picked the path of stealing it sneakily. Seeing the difference in strength, he knew that forcefully snatching it was not possible. The Meadow Viper's speed was very quick and within the short period of 3 days, it had completely investigated the surroundings of the spell's core noiselessly. When it returned to Yang Chen, a detailed map of the spell's core appeared within Yang Chen's mind. The spell's core was very valuable to the Greatest Heaven Sect and had at least 3 Yuning stage experts keeping watch over it. But most of the time, they were cultivating in the centermost region and were disturbed very rarely. The surroundings also had several Jidan stage experts, as well as batches of Foundation stage disciples, thus this region looked like a town. The defense was very strict, but it seemed like nothing was out of ordinary, only one thing was different, this was a small town exclusive to the disciples of the Greatest Heaven Sect. Apart from disciples of the Greatest Heaven Sect, other people couldn't enter. Yang Chen had wanted to enter sneakily, but there was absolutely no possibility of him being able to do so. We two together can take care of at most 3 experts, as for the rest, you are not their opponent. The judgment of the Meadow Viper and the Sand Scorpion was completely identical, completely not giving any face to Yang Chen. They will not go easy on us, as we are demon beasts, so you must not recklessly enter. According to the Meadow Viper and the Sand Scorpion, Yang Chen was just a Scion Ox which had transformed into a human, his strength was not really formidable, and they had been lenient with him for a long time. Certainly, I haven't the required qualifications to break in. Confronting the worries of the Meadow Viper, Yang Chen smiled innocently. The main aim of the great spell arranged several hundred years ago was precisely to guide the 5th Earth True Kai in the Desolate Valley to the spell's core so that someone from the Greatest Heaven Sect could refine it later. The reason why they had to spend so much effort to manipulate the 5th Earth True Kai was that it was very difficult to guide around. Even after several hundred years, the 5th Earth True Kai hadn't completely converged according to the wishes of the Greatest Heaven Sect's people who had deployed the spell. According to the distribution of spirit power which Yang Chen had obtained from the demon beasts, he could even figure out the current condition of the earth, attributed True Kai's distribution. Sure enough, the 5th Earth True Kai was being canalized towards the center of the spell's core, but even after several hundred years, it hadn't converged, but was only on the path of convergence. This gave Yang Chen an opportunity, since the 5th Earth True Kai still hadn't converged, then those people foolishly defending at the core of the spell, aren't they just waiting for the True Kai to be intercepted along the way? Even though the 2 demon beasts had lived here for several years, they still couldn't detect the 5th Earth True Kai, after all their knowledge was limited. Let alone these 2 demon beasts, even after some unknown expert had given the people of the Greatest Heaven Sect some advice about the 5th Earth True Kai being here, they still hadn't been able to cover up the desolate valley, spreading over a radius of just 1,000 miles, and find those thin as silk strands of 5th Earth True Kai. And could only rely on this kind of spell formation to gather it. But Yang Chen was not the same, he had the experience of a Great Principle Golden Immortal, adding on to that he also had a description of the true 5th Earth secrets, so he could easily detect the things he needed. His only apprehension was that the time required to collect the 5th Earth True Kai was not small. Yang Chen had to collect all of the 5th Earth True Kai before the eyes of these people, yet he should not be discovered by them, this was precisely the greatest problem. When a tiger does not show its might, you all take it as a sick cat. I will allow you to increase your knowledge about what a spell formation really is. Yang Chen had the intention of subduing them after hearing their continuous scornful assessment, even if he could not defeat them, he had to prove that their knowledge in other fields was insufficient. This was very beneficial regarding roping in the 2 beasts to enter the Pure Yang Palace. The huge spell of the Greatest Heaven Sect was very large, and it was also arranged according to the natural terrain, an extremely skillful work. But this was not a problem in Yang Chen's eyes, he only required the detailed distribution of spirit power to be able to calculate the direction of the spell formation to where the 5th Earth True Kai was flowing. After all, the Greatest Heaven Sect had arranged it sneakily and did not dare to brazenly make their claim on the 5th Earth True Kai. Frankly speaking, this desolate valley was indeed not in the range of Greatest Heaven Sect's influence, but rather belonged to another big sect, the 5 Phases sect. But because the earth attributed spirit power here was strong, the 5 Phases sect had generously allowed other fellow cultivators to train here, but this also did not mean that the Greatest Heaven Sect could forcefully seize the 5th Earth True Kai there. Thinking about it like this, the Greatest Heaven Sect was also stealing, but it was doing it with a little obscurity. Yang Chen was sure that the Greatest Heaven Sect would not dare to publicize it, so he had a possibility of cheating them with ease. This was a spell formation relying on the natural terrain. Other than people who had thoroughly researched spell formations, nobody would know about it. Yang Chen doubted that in this realm, apart from the spell formation experts of the Greatest Heaven sect, there were any other people who could comprehend it. Perhaps, the Greatest Heaven sect had thought it to be absolutely safe, but this spell formation had a fatal flaw. Because the spell formation was arranged using the natural terrain, modifying it was not a difficult matter, especially not in the eyes of Yang Chen, a former Great Principle Golden Immortal. You want to modify this spell formation. Since the Meadow Viper and the Sand Scorpion naturally knew about the existence of this spell formation, Yang Chen did not hide it from them. When they heard that Yang Chen could still modify the spell formation, the Meadow Viper and the Sand Scorpion could not help but be shocked. All demon beasts are born by receiving the spiritual influence of heaven and earth. Absorbing the essence of sun and moon and spiritual influence of heaven and earth to grow more powerful. Their cultivation was just based on instinct. But this Saiyan ox, Yang Chen, surprisingly not only knew about the spell formation, but also knew how to modify it, and moreover, he had things like the appearance transforming secrets. All of this made Yang Chen's origins even more mysterious. Yang Chen precisely wanted this result. He had to make the Meadow Viper and the Sand Scorpion curious towards him being able to use spell formations, refine tools and concoct pills, so that he could pull these two powerful beasts into the Pure Yang Palace afterwards. In any case, Yang Chen still knew many cultivation methods for demon cultivation in this realm. At least the beast controlling secrets could make demon beasts unable to stop themselves. As long as he could find a powerful mount, his strength would immediately double. When the Greatest Heaven sect arranged the spell, they had explored this region for at least several hundreds of years in order to sense the direction of spirit power. Yang Chen smiled and explained the objective that he wanted to accomplish. As long as I can modify the direction of spirit power at many crucial points, it will expose the Fifth Earth True Kai. At that time, the Greatest Heaven sect and the Five Phases sect will provide us with a good show, then we will slowly wait and see. Implicating people, this kind of thing, although the Meadow Viper and Sand Scorpion had also done it before, they had never done it at such a large scale, implicating whole sects. The two demon beasts were even more excited than Yang Chen. All of these years people had been treating them as targets for training. When would they ever get a chance like this to vent their anger again? Furthermore, they would make these people destroy each other without being involved in it, so the two demon beasts were urging Yang Chen to begin his modifications. Naturally, altering such an enormous spell was not an easy matter. Even with Yang Chen's current knowledge of spell formations, he still had to shut himself in his room for a full 2 months to be able to find a way. The Sand Scorpion and the Meadow Viper were certainly tyrants among tyrants, not to mention anything else, at least within their huge territories, they could find the crucial points even with closed eyes. Yang Chen had given them directions for their assignment within their respective domains, and in less than 20 days, under the forceful interference by the formidable magic of these two Yuaning stage demon beasts, the direction of the underground veins was forcibly altered. Although it had only slanted for 10 or so meters, it was fatal for the spell formation, arranged by the Greatest Heaven sect. Just finding the region where the spell formation had become disordered would make them go crazy. The two demon beasts were very intelligent. They had not only transformed the underground veins within their territory, but also many outside of their territory, covering the entire desolate valley. Following Yang Chen's plan, these underground veins would have been broken in regions over which fights to acquire them frequently happened between both demon beasts, so they had been broken due to the explosions. Some regions had been nearly exhausted by the medicine garden's bottle, and there were still more regions where, by his plan, some disciples of the Greatest Heaven sect, who did not know about the spell formation, would discover the benefits by some opportunity, and afterwards everyone would swarm around it. In some regions they would lay spell formations or use magic weapons to sever the flow of spirit power in the region. In short, there were far too many patterns. Following this was Yang Chen's task, to go to some region and by means of the original materials used to lay the spell formation, slightly modify it, and thereby moving the original core of the spell, where the Fifth Earth True Kai was converging, 10 miles away, so that the Fifth Earth True Kai starts converging at another place. Destruction was always easier than creation, especially in the case of such a spell. The less they wanted other people to know, the more traces they should hide. Yang Chen basically did not care about anyone knowing. As long as he was able to refine a part of the Fifth Earth True Kai, combine it with the true Fifth Earth secrets afterwards and cultivate it, the Fifth Earth True Kai would become a lot stronger. It would basically will not require him to cover it up. Yang Chen also knew that other people would not recognize it, so he had to leak the information of the Fifth Earth True Kai after refining it. And at that time, the Greatest Heaven sect, which had made efforts for several hundred years, would not easily give it up. But the Five Phases sect also had earth-attributed cultivators, so it would also not spare any effort for contesting over the treasure found in its domain, and at that time, Yang Chen could enjoy a wonderful battle between two giants. Certainly, this was the result of guiding the fifth Earth True Kai for several hundred years, but they were careful enough not to reveal any traces of deploying such a spell. Yang Chen on the other hand did not care about them at all, he simply moved the spell formation, using all of his strength as far as he could. In the brief period of 1 month, an extremely pure earth-attributed spirit power began to erupt from various regions, which quickly gave rise to the attention of many people. During this time, Yang Chen was safely sitting in a proper underground location and began to prepare for refining a trace of fifth earth true Kai he gathered already. People cannot be too greedy, wanting to eat everything alone can lead to bad stomach. Yang Chen, as if trying to encourage the meadow viper and the sand scorpion, smiled and said, "You two, protect me while I absorb this trace of fifth earth true Kai. As soon as I have refined it, it will be your turn. What about other regions?" The meadow viper, clearly unwilling to share the gains of their exhausting work with other people, transmitted this thought. "Regardless of whoever refines it, if you like them, allow them to keep it. And if you don't, then kill them and seize it." Yang Chen's words plainly expressed his own thoughts. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more. Chapter 110 You Are Not a Demon. Very soon, a portion of exceptionally pure earth-attributed spirit power appeared in the desolate valley. This pure fifth earth true Kai quickly gave rise to the attention of all cultivators training within the desolate valley. The most unfortunate thing was that this fifth earth true Kai could only be refined by using some special methods, which left a lot of cultivators disappointed, but this news had already begun to spread frantically. During this time, a large number of earth-attributed cultivators of the Five Phases sect had rushed into the desolate valley, including many high-level experts. After appraising this pure earth-attributed spirit power, the conclusion they reached was that this was unexpectedly fifth earth true Kai. This news spread wildly through the cultivation world. On the day the Five Phases sect received this information, they immediately proclaimed that this fifth earth true Kai belonged to the Five Phases sect, other sects were not to try to dip their fingers. Simultaneously the disciples of the Five Phases sect began to seal off other locations. Several years of their work, intended to collect and refine this fifth earth true Kai under the noses of the Five Phases sect without letting them notice, had suddenly been wasted. How could the greatest heaven sect be willing to accept this? Before the Five Phases sect had become active, they had quickly occupied some regions where the fifth earth true Kai was releasing. But there were a large number of such regions, it was also impossible for them to forcefully seize all of them. Fighting over territory with the people of the Five Phases sect within their own domain. This was just a tight slap on the face of the Five Phases sect, but at this point it didn't matter much anymore. Originally the greatest heaven sect had prepared to collect the fifth earth true Kai. After the preparations had been completely adequate, they had begun to collect the fifth earth true Kai forcefully at some places. Although they didn't have any suitable cultivation method for refining it at this moment, it could first be collected in a proper vessel and be refined afterwards when they had a suitable cultivation method. Because the Five Phases sect had been unprepared for this incident, the greatest heaven sect had already crazily collected fifth earth true Kai from at least 4 places. But by the time they were done, they discovered that the experts of the Five Phases sect had already encircled the surroundings. There was a strong chance of a fight breaking out immediately. The Five Phases sect had directly dispatched 6 wielding stage experts, including 2 people who were occupying 2 sites and the additional 4 to surround the people of the greatest heaven sect. The other loose cultivators at the desolate valley had already realized that this matter, which included 2 great sects, was not something which they could participate in. All of them had cleverly hid themselves to watch from afar. There had been no major event in the cultivation world in the past 100 years, the confrontation between these 2 sects would absolutely be a unique and great show. The upper echelons of the 2 big sects quickly began to negotiate. This fifth earth true Kai had been found in the territory of the Five Phases sect, and although they had not attached a lot of importance to this region before, currently, after this kind of treasure had appeared, they were naturally not willing to back down even an inch. Even the fifth earth true Kai which had been collected by the greatest heaven sect had to be completely returned. How could the greatest heaven sect agree? Several hundred years of their work, of which they could have reaped a harvest after just a few more decades, but suddenly this kind of matter had occurred, how could they be willing to agree? Naturally they had to contend for it strongly. But the situation was already like this, and the greatest heaven sect knew that they couldn't secretly monopolize the benefits, maybe they would only receive a small portion of these benefits. After all, this was the territory of the Five Phases sect, and both of these sects were top-notch great sects. If the fire rose, wouldn't the whole country rebel? Both sides did not want such a powerful enemy and could only sit down to negotiate. Soon both sides reached a compromise, everyone mutually took a step back, but at the time of the compromise, a spell diagram suddenly appeared, due to which the harmonious atmosphere instantly vanished. This was indeed a centuries-old spell diagram, on top of which were the complete spirit power distribution of the desolate valley, together with a complete map of a huge spell, arranged by using the natural terrain. This spell diagram had been obtained by some disciples of Five Phases sect by some lucky coincidence, it was seemingly lost due to carelessness of some individual, and by lucky coincidence it was obtained by them. When the sect leader of the Five Phases received this spell diagram, he immediately convened the elders, and within one day, they determined the validity of this spell diagram, and with the power of the Five Phases sect, they quickly inspected it and immediately authenticated the existence of this huge spell. If it were not for that the terrain had been modified due to some recent lucky coincidences, this huge spell wouldn't have been revealed. Arranging this kind of huge spell in their own backyard was already not giving any face to the Five Phases sect, instead it was like drawing their blood silently. Once they thought about how their own things were being stolen for several hundred years like this, the chests of everyone in the Five Phases sect, from top to bottom, were filled with rage. It was actually very easy to guess which sect had deployed this huge spell. In these past several hundred years, which sect had entered with the largest number of disciples into the desolate valley. This sect was of course not some random sect, it was precisely the Greatest Heaven sect, which had been fighting for the Fifth Earth True Kai with the Five Phases sect recently. Enough was enough. Both of them were big sects, normally they would assist one another in different matters, but to go as far as to steal the things from their own backyard and still deploy such a large spell sneakily, if it were not for the recent events which revealed the Fifth Earth True Kai. Then wouldn't the Five Phases sect be unable to even obtain one strand of this Fifth Earth True Kai after few more decades? The Five Phases sect immediately called off the negotiations, and all disciples of the Greatest Heaven sect in the desolate valley were detained, no one was allowed to leave. The situation was just on the verge of turning into a battle, both sides were at their final last control juncture, but nobody wanted to be the first one to throw a punch. Under this kind of circumstances, only a spark was needed to turn the situation into a full-fledged war. The upper echelons of the Greatest Heaven sect were hard-pressed, originally they were the only sect which had grasped the secret, but suddenly everyone knew about their secret, and they had also offended the Five Phases sect, which had always assisted them in the past. Originally their property, which didn't have any master, had suddenly turned into the property of someone else, stealing the property of an allied sect so brazenly, this was the greatest sin in the cultivation world. This time, the reputation of the Greatest Heaven sect had taken a large hit. Other sects even began to investigate if disciples of the Greatest Heaven sect visited frequently, if they had to be concerned about anything within their sect. Some sects had even issued a diplomatic letter to the Greatest Heaven sect, asking if the Greatest Heaven sect fancied something within their territory, and if there was, then they had to state it clearly, so as to avoid ruining the relationship between both sects. The only one to blame was the position of Desolate Valley, which was located at the edge of the Five Phases sect, this was the reason of the dispute. If it was a region without any master, then nobody would have said anything. It was unfortunate that such a thing had happened, from heroes, they had transformed into villains. Now there were only two paths in front of the sect leader of the Greatest Heaven sect, one was to offer an apology and hand over the complete Fifth Earth True Kai to the Five Phases sect, but this not only meant that their hard work of several years would go to waste, they would also have to admit their mistakes. So from then on their heads would always be lowered when meeting with the Five Phases sect. Another path was not handing it over, regardless of anything. Both sides would go to war and suffer terribly, this path did not have any logic, and it also showed them being rude and unreasonable to all the other sects. On one side were the benefits and on the other was their face, a truly difficult choice. As for the one who had single-handedly directed this show, Yang Chen, at that moment, he simply did not pay any attention to the matters happening around him. He was residing at the boundary shared between the territory of the Sand Scorpion and the Meadow Viper, cultivating the true Fifth Earth secrets without the disturbance of anyone and refining the Fifth Earth True Kai. This region was ideal, the territory over which two Yuning stage demon beasts were fighting in for countless years, ordinary cultivators with a weaker cultivation would not even dare to approach there. In addition to that, two powerful sects were confronting each other at this moment, so who could also manage to pay attention to this region? Of course, the most important thing was the Fifth Earth True Kai escaping there was not as dense as other regions, under Yang Chen's refining, the people on the outside could not sense anything here, allowing him to cultivate without any disturbance. The true Fifth Earth secrets was a cultivation method within his great 5 phases of Yin and Yang secrets, it was the most powerful Fifth Earth cultivation method among all the ones Yang Chen had heard about, and the conditions required for cultivating it were harsh. The first requirement was this Fifth Earth True Kai, without having this Fifth Earth attributed origin spirit power. It could basically not be cultivated. The postnatal full earth spirit root, the complete cultivation secrets, as well as a sufficient amount of fifth earth true Kai, Yang Chen, already satisfied all of these conditions. Yet he still had to face many difficulties when he started cultivating the true fifth earth secrets. After all, in his previous life, Yang Chen was a fire-attributed cultivator and did not have a thorough understanding about the cultivation methods of other attributes. He had spent almost an entire month only that he could cross over the required threshold. Yang Chen refined and absorbed one thin trace of fifth earth true Kai and assimilated it with his body. This fifth earth true Kai was indeed worthy to be known as the fifth earth attributed origin spirit power. Once it entered his meridians, it immediately began to replace the entire fifth earth spirit power in his body. Like a flame, it was quickly assimilating the original fifth earth spirit power. Speaking of assimilating, this trace of fifth earth true Kai had still not equally displaced the original fifth earth attributed spirit power. But this dilution was accompanied by some slight transformation in the fifth earth true Kai. The fifth earth spirit power which Yang Chen had was already refined with the reverse 5 phases of yin and yang secrets when he had reached the foundation stage, but the sudden assimilation of fifth earth true Kai was as if soft topsoil had been tightly pressed with enormous strength and thus turned into a rock within a moment. The originally abundant fifth earth spirit power had directly been compressed to 1/10 of its original amount, not even able to fill the meridians. But this was still not the purest fifth earth true Kai. After all, only a few months had passed after modifying the spell formation. The fifth earth true Kai distributed in the desolate valley, when condensed, did not only contain fifth earth true Kai, but also ordinary earth attributed spirit power. But even like this, it was enough to increase the quality of Yang Chen's fifth earth spirit power by several times. The following step was simple. After crossing this threshold, Yang Chen only had to continue absorbing sufficient amounts of fifth earth spirit power. After there was a sufficient qualitative change, Yang Chen's fifth earth spirit power would completely transform to fifth earth true Kai. There was no time for cultivation. While Yang Chen was fully concentrated on cultivating these true fifth earth secrets, he couldn't even feel the passage of time until the moment when a sufficient amount of fifth earth true Kai had been absorbed by him and rapid transformations began to occur. Bang! Yang Chen's consciousness entered his spirit sea once again. Huge transformations began to occur within the spirit sea. On both sides of the long, blood-colored river, many layers of solid land covered the entire spirit sea. The spirit sea had clearly divided into layers, with the blood-colored river and the fifth earth as reference. It had been completely separated from top to bottom. The geocentric flame and the real sun fire residing at the bottom and the top separately. The Penglai divine wood which initially connected the heaven and earth had also finally taken roots at this moment. The thick and solid network of roots was extending into this fifth earth soil, driving vigorously. This time, although the spirit sea had not expanded again, it had become more firm. With this fifth earth soil acting as the foundation, regardless of whether it was the blood-colored river or other things, all had a solid base. This was more than comparable with expanding the spirit sea. But this one step, Yang Chen could say that his spirit sea was at the point of transforming his Jindan into Ying, perhaps with some opportunity, or with the continued cultivation of the 3 purity secrets. Yang Chen's spiritual awareness was already at the Yuning stage, while he was only at the foundation stage. Finally, among the 5 phases of Yin and Yang secrets, one had changed into origin spirit power. When Yang Chen managed to become clear-headed and examined himself, he immediately found that his strength had been increased by several times. The 108 threads of fifth earth spirit power had entirely switched to fifth earth true Kai, increasing his power by several times. One relaxed punch in the underground space on Yang Chen's location created a sound as if a huge bomb had gone off. The entire space was squeezed into a spherical shape because of the suddenly released fifth earth true Kai, with Yang Chen's fist as center, spreading everywhere. The size of the space had expanded by several times. Such ferociousness. After having been together for so many days, the sand scorpion and the meadow viper were basically clear about Yang Chen's strength and felt that compared to them he was really very weak. But sensing this punch, both demon beasts jumped excitedly at the same time. This had also increased their expectations towards the fifth earth true Kai. Yang Chen had already told them that he didn't plan to use all of it alone. The 2 demon beasts were both earth attributed and could instinctively sense the fifth earth true Kai, but because of their previous discussions, they had agreed to be Yang Chen's protectors and were resisting the temptation of the fifth earth true Kai with great difficulty. But currently Yang Chen had already finished, and both of the demon beasts had the opportunity to sense the ferociousness of the fifth earth true Kai. The bodies of demons had a lot of diversity compared to humans. Yang Chen had to use the true fifth earth secrets to be able to absorb and refine the fifth earth true Kai, but it had directly burst into the bodies of the meadow viper and the sand scorpion and began to frantically strengthen their bodies and transform the spirit power inside of their bodies. The two demon beasts only had to go into hibernation and wait for their bodies to be cleansed by the fifth earth true Kai. Even Yang Chen envied their exceptionally advantageous conditions. But this strengthened Yang Chen's resolve to pull these two demon beasts into the Pure Yang Palace even more. Two Yuning stage beasts with their bodies conceiving fifth earth true Kai, they could certainly strengthen the Pure Yang Palace by several times. Their absorption lasted for 2 months, only then did both demon beasts wake up from hibernation. After being cleansed by the fifth earth true Kai, their strength had been increased to another level. They even became able to use the appearance transformation secrets to transform into human shape for some time, but it was not completely stable yet. And after a moment they were transformed into their original forms again. You are not a demon, nor are you a Saiyan ox. After waking from hibernation, the first thing Meadow Viper did was to transform into human shape and ask Yang Chen, using shaky words. You are a human cultivator, aren't you? When the Meadow Viper was asking this question, on the other side, the Sand Scorpion had also woken up and transformed into a middle-aged man wearing grey-colored armor. He was looking towards Yang Chen while killing intent filling his eyes. If you're enjoying the content, please give it a like, comment, and subscribe to Fantasy World for more.